intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
Fun. Everybody was having a good time.
Does Brian Albert strike you as the kind of guy who's always having fun? No. And here's a news flash for this judge. Mental health professionals have solutions.
They made him arrest. I got the guy who killed Danny.
There's like a mix between sadness and anger because that's the moment for him when he really started to believe that his mother was involved, right? Closes his eyes because he's now remembering. There is a huge psychological component to what was going on here. And according to this group, Brian Albert Jr. gets like the most celebrated birthday hour of anybody ever. Like every 30 seconds, someone's like, happy birthday! Right? She's trying to lump Colin into that earlier group.
Somebody jumps in as a journalist, draws attention to it, in a light that is not good for the prosecution. I mean, and there are serious allegations of corruption in the DA's office and the state police.
Oh my God, it's not like his 21st birthday.
What happened outside was separate from anything that happened inside.
The most incriminating 911 call.
They're in front of his parents having text messages.
Definitely someone should give you a gun and a badge.
Horrible text messages read back as if he's the aggrieved party.
Hold on, have each of you been called murderers?
Who wants to be the one to give Matt the bad news?
I wanted to prove, or to demonstrate.
I don't know where the dog was. I didn't hear any barking. Her name is Sunny. She was named after Santino Corleone.
To the side, in the side yard.
Hey, hi everybody, there's my Johnny. Hello, that's my Johnny.
Sunny barks if you walk by my window and sneeze. You're not really going to deny this, are you?
It's so weird. It's like the Inside Out, upside down. Narnia.
Really
I would get at some point in a timely fashion and then turn it over.
Know if we had it enough, or we had it all, I should say.
Kill me.
Not having any observable or detectable electrical activity would be asystole.
Means debt. 3 separate tab IDs. The thing he had to encourage her to do was not to testify.
You know, and Julia Albert responds to the text message from John, and she goes, "My biggest fear in life is ending up on Turtle Boy."
Stop it.
Oh, you never seen that? Oh, I gotta get you that. Let me.
No way.
Oh yeah,
That's wild.
Yeah,
no
I gotta
way.
dig that up.
God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
People are terrified of him. They're absolutely terrified of him. And how do we know that? We know that from the mega motion. Just another day for me, right? Which means it was just not an ordinary day for somebody else. Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in.
Karen Reed plots. She fabricates a conspiracy.
I am just a person who likes to understand. That's going to increase the likelihood that we're going to take some action.
Here she is.
Oh, I'm so sick. I'm sick.
Gotcha. Okay, so your sister.
My sister Jillian, yes.
Oh, it's funny. But then he's got part of his shirt untucked. His back pocket is kind of hanging out.
He has to buy that.
Here.
So he has to buy that.
Here.
So.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they?
Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Yes, yes, we do. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the I Don't Belong Here show, and I am your host, Samantha Benigno. I am a behavioral scientist, a career psychotherapist, a sixth-year PhD candidate in clinical psychology, a master's level psychologist and counselor. And today, welcome everybody. Wow, we have so much to talk about. So, first, I just want to say I'm a little darker than usual because the light that I rely on to brighten this space went out like an hour ago. So, we just ordered a new bulb, and by Wednesday, it will be here thanks to Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. So, apologies for that. And yeah, so I feel like I'm going to explode. There's so much going on, so much I want to get to tonight. I want to talk about this Brian Walshe situation because I feel like I'm kind of on an island by myself with this. And I need to like check in with you guys because I really I really feel like I'm the one in Narnia, which is a little unusual, right? So want to talk about that. And yeah, I've been sick. And like, I seriously, you guys, I was down and out for like 2 weeks. I wasn't even sure. The reason that I didn't really promote tonight was because my moderator, Denise, and I were like, are we going to do tonight? Because I'm, still not 100%, but I'm very, very close. So at like 4:00, I was like, we're doing it. And so I apologize to anyone who is not here, who is seeing this after the fact, because I didn't do a good job of spreading the word, but that is why. So, but yes, I am definitely feeling better. And in the meantime, while I was resting, right, I was like watching what's going on, watching like the Brian Walshe situation and catching up on, like Emily C. and Loophole Lawyer and watching the space in Karen Reed's civil stuff, right? Some of the absurdity of the claims against her being brought by the O'Keeffes is like, it's like delusional stuff, right? Like Karen Reed deliberately tried to bring emotional harm to John O'Keeffe's niece. It's like beyond absurd. And somebody, I think it was one of you guys in the chat, said this. And it's just like, it was such a good point that I hadn't thought of. Like, yes, if you had murdered somebody, would you sit down with the feds and bring them this case to say, hey, I think you should investigate me? Please investigate me. Can you investigate whether or not I'm the killer? If I'm the killer, would you do that? Like, seriously, no. The answer to that is no. But it had never that never occurred to me until one of you mentioned it. It's like, oh yeah, like duh, right? But anyway, that's aside. I don't want to get sidetracked with that. I really like. There's so much. And something that I really appreciate, right? Because I'm not a lawyer, and I love like our lawyer folks that we get to watch, right? Like, it's just so awesome to have everybody from like Bettero to the lawyer, of course, to Melanie, and just like everybody, Loophole Lawyer. Like, I don't know if I even realized that Loophole Lawyer was an actual lawyer until recently. So I appreciate knowing that, Vince, you are a lawyer. That's exciting information. But I'm so appreciative of having all these lawyers accessible, right? Because I totally admit, completely ignorant when it comes to the law. Just not something that I spent time studying. I've studied psychology to the point of like exhaustion and like nausea, but I've not studied law, right? And I've studied lots of other things. I studied spirituality, I've studied religion, I've studied all kinds of other stuff, but never the law. So having these folks around is just incredibly awesome. And sometimes I'm finding that, because we're seeing these different trials in these different states, right? It's crazy. Like, for example, I had never realized just how egregious the behavior of Judge Beverly Cannoni was watching the 2 Karen Reed trials until I started watching the Brian Walshe trial. And I've seen other trials, but something about just maybe because it's still like Norfolk County, perhaps it's Massachusetts. So maybe just having like comparing apples with apples, right? But this judge, I believe it's Freniere is how you pronounce her name. It's Freniere. Interestingly, we hear from this woman like 3 times a day for a total of like half a minute. There's like 2 sidebars throughout the entire day. The entire day. 2 sidebars a day. We hear from this woman so infrequently. And not only that, there's no objections. Like when these lawyers are questioning witnesses, we actually get to hear them ask questions and we get to hear the witnesses answer them. It's like, wait, what's happening here? Is this the way it's supposed to be in a courtroom? What? It's like it's like mind-boggling. And now, after watching the Brian Walshe trial, it's like, oh, I think back to the statements that Alan Jackson made the day after the verdict on Howie Carr. And I was going to play it, and I just didn't bring it up in time, but I was going to play it. I forgot about it till now. He makes this statement, and it's like, he says something like, just let us try the case. Just let us try the case. And now that statement is like, oh, oh, that's what he means, because it's not supposed to be that after you have a sentence come out your mouth, the moment something you say comes out, it's interrupted by the attorney, the prosecutor, or the judge. Oh, that's not normal. Like, wow, right? So it really puts into perspective just how insane these 2 trials really were when it comes to how the judge behaved, right? We know that there was just like an incredible amount of insanity, from the prosecutors, whether it was Adam Lally or Hank Brennan. And we know that there was an incredible amount of insanity from the witnesses and from the experts, which is like the blue paint. I mean, it's just the absurdity, like it. Oh, it's funny. Sorry, my little dog. Okay. 5 pounds of just like the most pain in the ass you could have. Anyway, despite this, it really just drove home the insanity of the judge. The judge who I am pretty sure didn't behave the way she did across these 2 trials in any other trial that she ever oversaw, right? Oh my God. It's too much. So I've made a decision. I've decided I am going to go back and try to watch other cases that she has, been the judge for. I don't know what the proper terminology is there. To actually see just how different she behaves. Sort of like when I went and I watched the way Buchanan testified in those early Brian Walshe hearings. And you see that without the defensiveness, he speaks sort of like a normal human being. I mean, he's still Yuri Buchanan, but you can definitely see without the defensiveness, right? So it's like, okay, so this isn't how these people normally behave. Like, this is an anomaly. Something else is afoot here, right? So, but I'm going to do some very serious investigating, and I'm going to bring that information back to all of you. So I'm very excited to, see what I find out, right? So And then back to this Brian Walshe situation. And this is the thing that I really want to hear from you guys on, because I am having a hard time with the Brian Walshe stuff. And I need to hear from you on this. Like, help me understand. Okay. Help me understand. The way I see this, Brian Walshe is a con man. And we know that it's not really like a disputable fact, because first, he had already been charged and pled guilty to having sold forged Andy Warhol paintings, forgeries, right? And of course, we can imagine, and I don't know the details of how much money. I know there was like 3 different charges, I think, at a minimum. So that means 3 paintings were sold. And you can imagine if they had Andy Warhol's name on them, they would be worth a lot of money. And just so happens that I actually had a very good friend. She passed somewhat recently, who was very close to Andy Warhol. In fact, some might argue a bestie, his bestie. And the moment that anything with her name like hit the internet for sale anywhere at all, somebody would call her. This is a friend of Andy Warhol, not Andy Warhol, but a friend. She would get a phone call and we would know. She would learn. This was a very close friend of mine also. So I would learn too that somebody somewhere was trying to sell something with her name on it. So I imagine that even though Andy Warhol has been gone for many, many years, somebody is tracking his stuff. And so you can't just like forge an Andy Warhol painting and expect that not to come back to bite you in the ass, right? And you can imagine this was probably for a lot of money. So that's number one. So we already know that this man has done things without using his best judgment. Okay. Number one. Number two, he is on house arrest because of these federal charges. Okay. He's not making any money as far as I know. And if I'm wrong about this, you tell me. So he's not making any money himself. His mother has money. So he gets money from his mommy. This man is 40 years old. Am I right? 40 something. So he's a 40-something-year-old man who's not working, who is waiting to hear how much he's going to have to pay back in restitution for his crimes. He gets his money from his mom. His wife has just gotten, or recently, somewhat recently in the recent past, has gotten a job making $220,000 a year to start at base with bonuses as a property manager in Washington, D.C. So his wife has money. And according to what he's told the police in his babbling, his continual babbling for days and days, as he misleads them into trying to find his wife, to believing that she's missing, right? And note his affect during that time, right? Like his affect, he's like friendly. There's never really any veering from that kind of like friendly, affable, like, you know, you don't ever hear him like panicked or like, why aren't you guys out there looking, you know, or like hysteria. Oh my God, I have 3 sons who are babies still. They're like 2, 4, and 6 years old. And now I'm the only person who's going to be taking care of them, right? You don't see any of that happening. It's just like this kind of flat, affable, kind of friendly guy, right? But in his talking to the police, he tells them that, oh, I don't deal with the finances. My wife does that because I can't like handle finances. So that has been taken away from me. My wife does that. Oh, she's the tech savvy one. Okay. So we have a man in his 40s who doesn't work, whose mother gives him money, and whose wife is making hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So far, I'm thinking that this guy, you know, might feel a little emasculated, right? Would you feel a little emasculated? He comes across as like this, like, easygoing, like he's a great talker. In fact, that skill set is what has gotten him as far as he's gotten in life, like his ability to talk. And it's insane because I think the defense actually likes listening to him talk endlessly, even though the entire time we know while he's talking to try to get the police to find his wife, he has very likely dismembered her. Okay? Dismembered her body. Now, let's just take the murder part out for a second. let's just not even talk about how she died. Let's just talk about the fact that he has admitted that she was dead and he went to great lengths to dispose of her body. Now, thanks to the trial, we have seen all types of items like a hammer and a hacksaw, right? Oh, and this thing, wait, here, oh, we got to see this. And everybody keeps giving it a name. It has some name like, Tylex suit. I don't even know how to call it. So when I tried to figure out what these things are called, and I went and I was like, I went into Google, I was like, what is the name of the suit that Dexter wears? And it came up with kill suit. So I decided to just go with that because I think that's so much better. So this item was found in one of the dumpsters, or one of the places where the many dumpsters that he brought garbage fed into. Yeah. Now, we see throughout this trial that that this man is going to all these little dumpsters, or these dumpsters with little bags, right? Like small bags, not body-sized bags, but small bags, right? So the question is, of course, right? Even if he considered, let's say he just contemplated dismembering her, okay? Let's just talk about that. Like, who does that? What kind of a person like sits around thinking about dismembering their spouse? Okay. So just like that alone is problematic for me. Just the fact that it was something he was Googling, the fact that he was trying to figure out, can you identify a body if their teeth are broken? Like, something is not right here. Something is not right with this man. Okay. Something is not right with this man. And it's very clear to me also that he absolutely knew. Guys, he absolutely knew about the affair. So he knew about the affair. And it appears like the defense is trying to argue that, well, he loved her anyway, and like he wasn't a jealous guy, and like, oh, he didn't care. He didn't care that she was like prancing around Washington, D.C. with another man while he's home taking care of their 3 children. Okay. This is a nice story, and that sounds great, but come on. Can we come back to earth and like, because that's not what happened. Okay. It's like he did very much care. He very much cared. And then today, I have to say, I felt like the defense was trying to insinuate subtly that maybe during sex, she was I can't say it. She was strangled, asphyxiated. He like strangled her and accidentally she died. Like that really felt like that was kind of like the direction that the defense was like nudging in. I'm sorry, but no, that's not that's not what happened either. So I don't know what to say. I don't understand. I need you guys to tell me. Okay, so it wasn't just me. Thank you, Kate. I see it. I see it. Thank you. That is what Tipton was sort of insinuating, right? Like he was subtly like talking about, well, you know, during sex, people can be asphyxiated. And I'm thinking to myself, are you insinuating? Are you trying to make the argument that that's what happened here? Have you met Brian Walshe? This man, okay. If your best like thinking about how to get a job includes faking Andy Warhol paintings, it's not great. Like go get a job. Go to work and get a job, right? That's a problem for me. Additionally, listening to him babble about leadership trainings. I mean, this man, he's a piece of work, Brian Walshe. And I think that the defense actually thinks this is a good thing, that listening to him talk, because he's so good at misleading people and lying, that he should testify. It really feels like that's where we're heading with this. I mean, guys, is any like, am I the only one who sees this? This guy, absolutely. Yes, right. Yes, he didn't know. He loved her. Correct. I agree. I don't think he was planning to kill her. I think he loved her. But when she didn't get home on Christmas Day, right? Think about it. Think about Christmas. Think about 3 boys, like so excited for Christmas. And imagine that like mom isn't there, right? Like that's screwed up. So to me, I think that's where the problem started. That's why on like the 27th, we see him Googling divorce. Which states are the best for men to get divorced, right? Because by the 25th, I think when she didn't get home, for Christmas, I think that was like the start of what, right? Like that was what, like the accelerant. Because at that point, he must have already known about the affair. He must have already known. So he knows about that. Then she just, in his mind, if so if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody who's has had an affair, like once that happens, once you know that they are having an affair, you don't believe anything they say. So if she was saying to him, oh, my flight got canceled, but I'm going to take the next flight. I mean, whatever she was saying from his perspective, do you believe her if you already know that she's having an affair? Right? So to me, something happened when she didn't get back on Christmas Day. He must have already known about the affair, and there was some kind of a snapping that happens. Right? Like it had been building and building and building. I agree. I do not think this man sat around wondering about how he's going to kill his wife, right? I mean, obviously, because he would have had the kill suit, he would have had all those items, he wouldn't have needed to go on those shopping sprees that we saw with his kids to buy the items that he was going to use to dismember his wife, right? Like, so I totally agree. I absolutely agree. I think that the Google searches sink the boat too, 100%. The fact that they were on the son's right iPad is interesting to me, because the way that I think about this, this guy, I'm putting myself in his shoes, and I know how liars and con people, I know how they think. Right. So the way these people think, they rationalize everything they do. Like in his mind, the thinking is, well, they can't take my son's iPad, but they find a way to reason how what they're doing is going to work out in their favor. Right. And actually, here's the thing, right? He has made actually a pretty good calculation, because there are people out there that are buying this. Like, to me, there are people that are really believing that the defense is doing a much better job than the prosecutor's office, which I don't disagree with. I mean, generally, these defense lawyers are much better lawyers, just technically, for sure. I mean, that is definitely true. I feel like when I'm listening to the prosecutor ask questions, even today with the medical examiner, I'm thinking, why did you ask that question? Why didn't you ask this other question that seemed like the very, very obvious question to ask, right? So that part I get. But I mean, it is so obvious. Like, how much more evidence can you get without the body? See, that's the thing. That's the calculation that this man, Brian Walshe, made. He made the calculation that if the body is gone, right, then no body. They can't prove it was me that killed her. And he knows that. And that's what he's banking on. And that's true, right? Because without the body, they can say anything they want. Oh, it was sudden adult death syndrome. It was, it was whatever. I mean, you can make up any story you want. It doesn't matter because the body isn't there. And let's think about this, okay? If she had died of natural causes while she was sleeping, why would there be blood anywhere? Like, people that die in their sleep or just die, they just fall over and die because of an internal problem that we can't see, which is what they're arguing, right? He's not saying he hit her head and she just like fell. He's not saying that some outside force was applied. He's saying that she just died. We don't know. It happens, right? Doesn't it, medical examiner? Don't people just die? Right? It's like, well, the only reason we can't prove what happened is because we don't have the body. And because we don't have the body, you can say whatever you want. And that's exactly what he's doing, right? And this guy, who's a good talker, obviously, I mean, he had like all the cops and, in and around Boston, like looking for her everywhere. So, right, for days and days, they're out there looking, and finally, and I actually give these cops some credit, the CASAC cops some credit, because they did ask all the right questions and eventually, figured it out pretty quickly because of the Google searches, right? They sunk the ship exactly like Clayton John 5150 you're saying. So to me, it's like, man, guys, this is absurd, right? Like, this is absurd. It's just absurd. It's absurd. Sam, Anna was most likely Eastern Orthodox Christian, which celebrate Christmas the 7th of January. That makes sense. But the boys, like these 3 little boys, to them, it was Christmas, right? So I just think that, imagine what it's like. I mean, if you guys have parents, right? Or if you are parents, sorry, not that you have, obviously you have parents. If you are parents, if you have children, right? Like, I have one child. And when she was 3 years old, I thought to myself, this is like the hardest thing that I could ever do. like a child, being a parent is like freaking the hardest thing in the world. And the fact that this guy is at home with 3 babies, like, it's like, oh my God. And he kind of talks about that, right? He talks about that a little bit. Now, of course, it's all, threaded into bullshit. But he does tell the police, last week before this was happening, yeah, we were struggling because, we had problems like the 3 kids and the difficulties that come with being parents of 3 children, right? So he does reference it to a degree. And I'm sure they have babysitters and I'm sure they had help. But this situation was a setup for disaster. And I can't help but feel like what would I be feeling if I'm the husband? And to your point, the fact that she's an Eastern Orthodox Christian, they're more conservative, generally speaking, right? Culturally more conservative. And you think about like what are the roles of the man and the woman in a relationship, and how is this guy measuring up? And I know that Anna said nice things about Brian Walshe, and she wanted people to see him in a positive light. But think about that. Like, would you want your wife to have to convince people to see you in a positive light? Right? You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like Brian Walshe as a person is being left out of this discussion. And it's sort of like we're kind of getting very technical in terms of like the legality, the prosecutors, and we're sort of like missing the point a bit, right? Like Brian Walshe is very guilty. Very guilty. Like he's very guilty. And if he wasn't, wouldn't you want that body? Like if you had nothing to do with this and she just died in her sleep, don't you want that body? Because the body is the only thing that exonerates you. Let's be honest. If you have nothing to do with her death, the only thing that exonerates you is that body. And conversely, if you killed her, the only thing that incriminates you is that body. So I feel like that's the part that it's kind of like we're getting away from by getting too into like the legalities of the lawyering, right? You see what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm losing my mind a bit here. Kate 538 says, I feel like Anna probably saw William as someone who could help provide the life. Sure, could definitely be. Yeah. I mean, he's a very interesting, right? William was an interesting character. Sort of like, to add to the whole story, like the way he presented was interesting. He's kind of what we refer to in New York City. We sort of say like very metrosexual, right? So like, how do I describe what that means? If you don't know what that means, I guess William kind of is a good example, right? Like sort of well put together and like overly well spoken, but definitely like, has some kind of masculinity about him while also like carefully manicured. Guess that's the best way to say it. So he was interesting. I think some people thought that he came off as indifferent. I didn't see it. I didn't see that. I felt like he had a lot of affection for Anna, and I think that did come across to me in the way he spoke. Like he was kind of fighting with the with the attorneys a little bit. Trying to make it clear that, no, that they had spoke about what would happen if Brian Walshe knew, and what was going to happen if he found out. They had that conversation, and so I think he did. I think he was he wanted. I think he believes that Brian Walshe knew and killed her, and I think he wanted to make it clear that there were moments where they felt like he did know. For example, like the time when out of nowhere, he just gets a phone call from Brian Walshe while he's sitting at dinner with his wife, right? Like that's a pretty crazy coincidence, right? Like, and then later says, no, like one of the kids just accidentally called him. So let's get this straight. Let's think about this, everybody. So one of the kids accidentally phoned the man that their mom is having an affair with while they're at dinner together, right? That's a pretty amazing coincidence. right? Pretty amazing coincidence. I'm sure he did have a full-time nanny because this guy can't do anything. Like, let's be honest. Like, this guy, you guys, like, he's to me, Brian Walshe is like completely emasculated. That's how I see him. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the view that I have of him. That like he needs his mommy to do everything for him. He needs his wife to take care of him, right? I mean, who's going to pay the restitution? Who's going to pay the money that for his crimes, right? You've got his wife telling people like, no, really, he's a really good guy. It's like, like the more you hear, the more it's like, this doesn't sound good. It sounds like a guy who was kind of like completely emasculated at the end of his rope. His wife, who he knows is having an affair, is gallivanting around Washington, D.C. on a sailboat with the realtor, who they both know, by the way, somebody who he's met, which is another factor that's even worse. It's like, you know, I can even picture who she's with because I know that guy. We were on a Zoom call together. He sold us the home that she's living in, right? It's just, I don't know. And I get like, you know, people were trying to say, oh, he doesn't care. He wasn't a jealous guy. Come on. Are you kidding? Seriously? Put yourself in his shoes. Like, would you care? Would you be like, oh, it's all right. I know she has sexual needs and I'm not there. I'm not there. So, you know what? Go ahead, Will. Have fun with my wife. Well, I take our 3 kids. I'm home with our 3 children all the time. Come on, right? So I don't know. I'm having a hard time with the idea that like he's innocent and he just woke up next to a body and, you know, I just don't buy it. To me, there's a lot of evidence, both consciousness of guilt and actual evidence like this, that's evidence that somebody put on a suit and actually took tools like a hacksaw and a hammer and knives and literally, can you imagine, by the way? Because seriously, can you even imagine thinking about doing this? Do you know how hard it would be to actually you know how hard it is to like cut a chicken? I don't know. I just, right? I don't know. So to me, and once I did the analysis, the statement analysis, and realized that he very much knew about the affair, that for me was the end. It was like, okay, I'm kind of done because he knew about the affair, right? For me, that was the end. Once I was very sure that because of the statement analysis that he you know, this guy who's such a good talker, I mean, you guys heard him, he's such a good talker. And as soon as he's asked a question about extramarital affairs, he completely fell apart. Right? Oh my God. Anyway, so that is my feeling on that. And I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, I would say, let's do it this way. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that he killed Anna. That's the question. Did he kill her? Put a 1 in the chat if you think he killed her. That is the bottom line. Did he kill her? Because I can't imagine. I see ones. I see ones, right? Like, okay, good. I'm glad I'm seeing a lot of ones, guys. All right. It's because I'm thinking like I'm totally losing my mind. I feel so much better. All right, good. Of course he killed her, she says. Okay. All right, good. Because I'm like, am I on an island by myself over here? Like, am I losing it? This is like a no-brainer. This isn't even hard. I think like the Murdaugh case is more, there's more like, not really. Murdaugh case is pretty clear too, but this one is like a no freaking brainer. Come on. I mean, this guy lied to the police, said she was missing, and had the whole world looking for her for like a week until he was arrested. And then for 2 years, continued to say, I'm innocent until the trial started like 3 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, well, I actually got rid of her body. But I didn't kill her. I just got rid of the only evidence that could absolutely exonerate me to prove that I didn't kill her. Right? So it's like, of course you did. There's no other, it's like, of course, right? So what is the point? Please tell me. What is the point? I would love to know. Because I don't get it at all. What is the point? That the Commonwealth isn't proving the case? Because they are proving the case. Like, they totally are proving the case. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know what the point is. But I would love to know. Because I think I'm going crazy. Like, they are proving the case. And the only reason why they can't prove it anymore is because the body, which he has admitted to getting rid of, is gone. Because that's the only other way that the Commonwealth can, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's the only thing that would either exonerate this man or completely incriminate him, right? So here's the thing about that. I agree with that. I think he did snap. But when it comes to, this is where the law gets funky, and this is where we need, like, a lawyer to get into the details, because apparently, as long as you had like a certain amount of time to reconsider your decision, right? The law is funny here about what it means to plan a crime. Like, it doesn't have to be premeditated in the way that you and I think about it, where we sit around and plot her death for, 6 months. It could be that, he's so angry that they're in a fight, and he, in a moment has 2 minutes to think about what to do, and in that 2 minutes kills her. You could make the argument that he had time to change his mind, right? I mean, this is where the law gets funny. So I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think he very well may have snapped, but the defense isn't making that argument, right? The defense is saying he woke up next to a sudden adult infant death syndrome situation, right? The defense isn't saying that he snapped. I agree with that. I think this guy had enough of the emasculation and the humiliation. And that's what I see him. And it's interesting. He even mentions humiliation. To me, this was a situation where he was humiliated and had enough of the humiliation. That's really like the simplest way to say it. And I say that because of his statements. When you really listen, I mean, you have to listen. It's like painful to listen to him endlessly, but it's important because he tells us a lot. All these women, he's got all these women in his life, whether it's the nannies or the friends, the friends they shared, people that knew them both, that were close to them both, close to the boys. He talks about all these people. And, it's just, he talks about how humiliated he was by the forgeries, how hard it is for him to talk about that. And to me, that's what happened. It was like the humiliation had gotten to a point where he snapped, essentially, right? Like, he just got to his got to the place, like a place where he just couldn't get any lower in terms of his sense of self-worth, which is terrible. He totally drones on. It's a nightmare. He totally drones on. But it's great because it gives us all this information. It gives us he gives it all up. He tells us everything because a lot of what he says is true, right? A lot of what he's telling us, he's talking so much. I think this is like what he thinks is his strength, right? Like innocent people or guilty people wouldn't talk this much is like the thinking. But in the end, we have all of that information to work with to try to make an assessment of what's really going on with him. And that was my takeaway, was just, this is a guy who's totally humiliated and ends up killing her. Yeah, in a fit of rage. I would agree with that. And then has to figure out how not to get caught. And actually, this is where his intellect, this was the only way he was going to have a shot, right? The only way he was going to have a chance to get away with it was to eliminate the body. And so, look, maybe there is somebody, maybe there is somebody on that jury that buys it. And I think that, they may put him on the stand because I think they think his talking is an asset. I really do. I don't know. I don't know. This case is tough for me because it does feel like a no-brainer. It does feel like, all right, come on. This guy killed his wife. I mean, and he knew about the affair. I mean, he very much knew about the affair. So I know. I want to see Proctor too. So I can't wait. Does anybody know, have any kind of idea at all about like how much longer the prosecution is going to put their witnesses on? How close are we to the defense? I have no idea. I have not heard anybody say anything or speculate about how many witnesses are going to be, put in front of the jury. There's been quite a few so far, right? I don't know the exact number, but there's been a fair amount of witnesses in this case. Some of them are just inconsequential, but okay, so we don't know. We don't know. Yeah. All right, so we don't know, but it does seem like the defense is going to call Proctor, and I'm sure they will, because they're going to do anything that they can to try to muddy the waters, right? To make the prosecutors look, or the Commonwealth look bad. And that is going to be amazing theater. Okay, so we're 3 weeks total about. Okay. So we're like halfway, a little under halfway maybe. It should be really interesting. Hacksaw bought after she was dead. Right. Yes. It's hard. I wonder, as far as I can tell, it seems like she must have died right around New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve, right? Like in the hours into New Year's Day. Right? Because they had a couple over, as far as I can tell, I think, right? They had a New Year's Eve party or something. Isn't that right? They had like another couple around, and then that couple leaves, and then he's the last person to be with her. So she would have died, I think, on late New Year's Eve into New Year's night. Is that right? Just want to know the answer. As Sam said, Brian went to sleep. I heard Larry say Brian nudge. Oh, I don't know. Hi, Sherry. I don't know what the question was. So I can't answer a question. I don't know the question. I think they were drinking and he ended up, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yep. I think they were drinking also. I totally agree. There's no way Brian takes the stand. I mean, listen, it's not the smart decision. I think it's a really bad decision, but I can almost see it. It almost feels like that's like where we're headed, simply because it does feel like the defense thinks that his words and statements are advantageous, that like they don't seem to mind all the talking. That's the way it appears. I hope he does, but I don't know. I will say this. I've not seen that many trials. I've probably seen 7 trials total. And of all the trials I've seen, this is the only one where I thought I could see that the defense might put the defendant on the stand. This is definitely the only one I've ever seen so far. Okay, so wait. One guy at New Year's is on his ex-boss, and right. Okay. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if he's egotistical. I think he's the opposite. I think he's completely and totally embarrassed. Like, when I say emasculated, I mean like humiliated out of his manhood is how I see him. And as a way to like cover for that, his exterior, like what we're seeing is like all about covering for that like deep sense of humiliation that he experiences like all the time. That's the way I see Brian Walshe. I know that's terrible, but that's what I see, because I think his sense of self-worth is like the worst ever. And that's why I think he killed her. And I do agree. I agree. I think alcohol was absolutely involved. I agree with everybody about it being, drunk and not premeditated for a long time or anything like that. Studio 102 sends $10, says, do you think he felt emasculated about being looked after? Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Just makes me think about how parasitic lifestyle is. Absolutely. Yes. Oh yeah. I think this, like, the way, and part of why I say it, I'll tell you why I think that. So he talks to the police, and when he's talking to the police, one of the things that he says, as he's telling them about his federal crimes, he talks about how embarrassing it is for him to have to say it. And as he's telling them, everything he says it's coming from a place of like trying to overcompensate for that sense of like deep humiliation. And you can just, I mean, it's like it like oozes out of him as he's speaking to the police. If you go back and you listen to that whole discussion, like every question, the first witness, so that very beginning of the trial, when we hear from the CASAC investigator who did a lot of the early Q&A with Brian Walshe spoke to them for like hours. And a lot of it was just like gibberish. I mean, it was like, where they shop, and oh well, this the dog food costs more at this store, so we go to this store. But in all of that babbling about nothing, there's important information about who he is as a person and what he wants you to believe about him. Like, he talks about how he did this leadership program, and it's all like coming from this place of like deep insecurity, right? And the fact that, like, I heard somebody, I don't even know who it was now, but I heard somebody saying, well, money is not really a motive because his mom had money. and oh, by the way, I do believe that was that was also a factor, the financial piece, because I think he did look at the divorce. Like, he contemplated divorce. He was looking at divorce, and that was before New Year's, right? Before New Year's, like the 27th, he's looking at, what's the best state for a man to get divorced? Like, what are my rights as a man in a divorce? Like, essentially, how much will I get screwed, or how will I benefit if I'm divorced in the state of Massachusetts versus this Washington, D.C.? So I think he was seriously considering that, but he knew she had a life insurance policy. he kept going to the website, like over and over. He's going to her company's website, right? So what is he doing on that website? Is he looking up, you know, is he looking at her, or is he looking at like their benefits, right? And we don't know, I guess, what exactly he was looking at, but he's on that website over and over and over again for throughout that whole week. And so I do think that money was a factor. I don't think it was the factor, but I think it was a factor because he was totally emasculated. You got to think about it. Like, if you're a 40-something-year-old man, like, you have 3 children, you know, we live in a culture, and especially as somebody was saying, like, you know, the culture that Anna comes from, even more so, you know, like, do you want your mommy giving you money at 40-something years old as a man with 3 children and a wife? Of course not. Anna was making good money, and I think, you know, I'm sure he felt happy for her. But at the same time, how does that make you feel? Your wife is rising up and up and up. Now, they met, by the way, this is interesting too. They met working at Wheatley in Lenox, Massachusetts. Now, that's Lenox. Like, I graduated high school from Tanglewood in Lenox. So I'm very familiar with Wheatley. That's where they met. They were in hospitality together. So they weren't making money. And then she gets this great job because this woman, you know, thought she was going to do wanted somebody from hospitality, as we heard. She testified to, loved Anna's personality, gave her essentially a big promotion from probably what she was making at Wheatley. Wheatley is a beautiful place, but I'm sure they weren't paying her, you know, $220,000. So his wife is like rising up, and that's wonderful. But, you know, he like can't even be trusted with the finances. The way he talks about to the police, he's like, oh, I don't, like, she does all the finances. I can't even pay bills on time. That's what he says. Right? So to me, there was like a real emasculation. He didn't want to live off of mommy's money because none of us would want that. And when he considered, like, how am I going to make out if we get divorced? You know, not great. You know, not great. He doesn't have a job. I mean, I don't know. So in the end, I think that, you know, when you start adding all these factors up, I don't think the money was the motive, but I think it was a nice sort of like bonus. And one of the defense points is, well, he never tried to cash in on the life insurance. He was arrested like on January 8th. So when was he going to cash in on the life insurance? You have to prove, first of all, that she's dead. There's no body. Like, you know what I mean? He wouldn't have been able to very easily just like call up and say, okay, you know, my missing wife, or we don't know where the body is. Like, now I'm ready to cash in on her life insurance policy. You know, no. So that's kind of a silly argument, but the defense, you know, did make that argument as well. So just to your point, you know, I think he was very emasculated, and I think long before probably the affair. The affair to me feels like maybe more of like the icing on the cake. At the same time, I think, you know, he was, you know, trying to get out of from underneath the mess he was in, but he put himself in that mess also. And this is a guy who, like, think about it. He's a con man. Like, what does a con man do, right? They're looking for, you know, you're kind of like looking for like shortcuts to me. Like that, this is, if you're going to forge paintings from Andy Warhol, the only reason to do that is like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to make enough money legitimately. So I'm going to try to do a shortcut. Why would you do that? You know how stupid that is, right? I mean, to me, the idea of that kind of it's to me, something is wrong with this guy. He's not all right in the head, obviously. And I don't even think it's like, I don't think it's, you know, people have said narcissism. I'm not sure that this is narcissism. I just think I don't think this guy's right in the head, right? Like something is off with Brian Walshe. Like his thinking is very distorted. He's, you know, I would love to know more about how he grew up, the details of it. I think I already have a sense, but just from the little I do know, but I would love to know the details because, you know, there's something a little off about him and about his thinking. And interestingly too, it makes sense that he would marry a woman who was a foreigner, because if you have two cultures, like two very discrepant cultures, you don't read each other in the way that two people from the same culture would. That makes sense. So in other words, it would be harder for Anna to pick up on the social cues or the cultural cues that would send off red flags about Brian Walshe. That's just the way it is generally. And I've seen that also in my personal practice with clients that marry from you know, outside of their culture. Sometimes it's a beautiful, you know, coming together, but it's still challenged. There's challenges because when you have two people from two different cultures coming together, they don't read each other's social cues the way that someone from the like culture would. Does that make sense? So sometimes that's that can create all kinds of problems for sure. So I'm glad to see that you guys agree for the most part that he did kill her because I thought I was losing my freaking mind. And I would love to see justice for Anna also because she seemed absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. She really did. She seemed like a lovely person. And I feel like she just married the wrong guy. That's I think maybe that goes without saying, but yeah. He's not right. Oh, that's so funny. It's so funny. I've never seen 90 Day Fiance, but I could imagine just from what I know that that's exactly. Yep, exactly. Oh good. I feel so much better. You guys always make me feel better, but that makes me feel a lot better because I really thought I was losing my mind. All right, so now I want to pivot to something else. And I'm like trying to keep myself on time because I know I can go on and on forever. And I want to talk about Mr. Colin Albert. And the reason I want to talk about Mr. Colin Albert is because, of course, we have Karen Reed in her civil suit, her federal civil suit. They did not name Colin, at least not yet, right? And in the interview with her civil lead attorney, he was asked about that, and I'm sure most of you saw it. And he, you know, was clear that at this point he is not named. That doesn't mean that he won't be named later, but he's not named now. And that got me thinking, you know, I want to go back and reacquaint myself with why it is that I believe Colin was in the house at the time of the crime. Now, I am saying that I am not necessarily sure that Colin is the one who commit the crime, but I believe he was there at the time of the crime. And it is not clear to me whether or not this group has gone to such great lengths to try to cover for him, get him out of the house at the time of the crime, just because of his reputation of being a punk kid who starts fights and who had issues with John O'Keefe in the past. Like, I don't know if they were just trying to protect him because he's an obvious candidate for having done something to John, or if it's, you know, because he did something wrong, right? And maybe there's no way to know that. But I do want to show you at least some of why I believe that Colin was in the house. Now, I know not everybody agrees with me. I know Loophole Lawyer is absolutely clear. He does not believe Colin had anything to do with it, was not there, and has cited Karen's civil suit, as more support for that argument. But I want to go back and I want to show you why it is that I am very reluctant to let go of this, my thinking that he was there. And now I've already put together a video that I'm going to release that's going to give it all the goods up. So, but because I have to keep that within a certain length, tonight what I want to show you is the testimony that makes it very hard for me to let it go. So that is what we are going to review. That is what we're going to review now. So I'm going to pull up Colin and show you some of why it is that I am having a very hard time letting him off the hook. All right, here we go. Let me grab him. Okay. Here he is. Our church boy. Right? I mean, you gotta love that they tried to dress him in this like preppy boy outfit, which, kudos to them. That's what we all would have done, right? Trying to protect our son, our nephew, our cousin, whatever the case may be, which is very much what has happened here, in my opinion. But I'm going to show you why that is my opinion. Now, I'm going to slow this down. And the reason I'm going to do that is because at regular speed, it is very hard to catch everything that I want you to see. So I'm going to slow it down just a little bit so it's a slightly easier for us to see all the reasons why it is that it's so hard for me to let Colin off the hook. And importantly, and this is true with all of these people, I mean, it really, really is, you guys. I can't say this enough. They want to say, oh, Turtle Boy and Karen Reed concocted a narrative and we all believe it, all that. The only thing that incriminates these people is them. Their words, their statements, and their behavior. There is no narrative that anybody could ever concoct that is more damning to these people than their words, their statements, and their behavior over and over and over again. Full stop. Okay, here we go. So we're going to start. Let me just see here. I'm going to, and by the way, I'll strike that. Before we start, I want to thank the Trial channel, who is like, the Trial channel is like the only thing that I don't even bother with anybody else anymore. I just go right to the Trial channel, who saved my life in so many ways. I could never thank you enough. The Trial channel, you are like heroic, because if you are a content creator doing anything in this space, let me tell you, the fact that these videos, I mean, just the quality, the audio, the whole thing, but also on top of that, we also get, the segments broken down from these testimonies. It's just life-saving. So thank you. A huge thank you to the Trial channel. All right. So we're going to start on the part of his testimony where he's talking about his relationship with John O'Keefe.
Now, Albert, the place that you were living at that point in the condo, how long had you been living there?
That I do not remember.
Did you live somewhere else in Canton prior to?
Yes.
Where was it that you lived?
7 Meadows Ave.
And how long did you live at 7 Meadows?
My whole entire life before moving to that condo.
And so,
Okay, just to make this clear for anybody who's lost, doesn't know what's happening. So if you've never been to Canton and you've never been to One Meadows, which is where John's house is and still is, right? That's now where his mother and niece and nephew continue to live. It's a very large house. One Meadows is sort of a house that is on both meadows, but also the main street that you have to turn off of to get onto Meadows. Okay. So you're driving up Meadows, which John's house is like here at the corner. You can't see me, but and then you go, essentially, it's like 2 houses, and then you have 7 meadows, right? So their house was literally just 2 houses up from John's house. And they lived there for many, many years. So it was a very new, recent move to the place that the condo that the family ends up at. So they had lived as a neighbor to John O'Keefe for many years. Just to be clear, that's what we're talking about here with Colin now. Just want to slow it down a little bit. Just a little. Here we go. Okay.
what I'm sort of trying to ascertain here is, so from the time of January 28, 29, 2022, was it a long time, short time, months, weeks, years? How long had you been living at the condo?
Short time, I'd say a couple months.
And so prior to that couple of months, you had lived your whole life at Seven Meadows, correct?
Correct.
And that was a single family house, is that correct?
Yes.
And with respect to living on Meadows Ave, did you know people that lived on your street growing up?
Yes.
And at some point while you were living there, did you come to know someone by the name of John O'Keefe?
Yes.
And how did you know Mr. O'Keefe?
He lived at the top of our street.
So how many houses, if you know, were sort of in between your house and Mr. O'Keefe's?
2.
And do you know how long that Mr. O'Keefe had been living on that street?
I do not know.
And how did you know him, sort of, if you could describe sort of your relationship with your neighbor, Mr. O'Keefe?
I knew him because I knew that my parents were friendly with him. So and I knew he lived at the top of our street. That's how I knew him.
And were you aware who, if anyone, lived at the house with Mr. O'Keefe?
I know his 2 kids that he brought in, adopted, lived there, and I'm not sure who else.
And that would have been his niece and his nephew that he adopted, correct?
Correct.
Where were they in relation to you as far as age?
A lot younger. I don't know the exact age difference, but.
So you were in high school, they would have been some grade far below.
Yes.
Now, as far as your relationship with Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor, about how often would it be that you would see him?
Not often. I'd drive by every now and then. He'd be outside and I would wave. He'd wave back. That was pretty much it.
Okay. So now we're getting into sensitive questions. So that part up until this right now, those were easy Q&A, and those statements were relatively true for Colin. Now, when he's asking more detailed questions about their relationship, you're going to start to get first sensitivity, and then we're going to start to get deception. So watch him carefully. It's interesting. So watch him carefully. And again, this is just where we're starting, because I want to kind of work up to, again, why it is I just can't say that Colin was home giving mommy and daddy kisses and not at the house when John O'Keefe was murdered.
And during the time that you lived on Meadows Ave, or a couple months subsequent to that, is there ever any animosity or any sort of arguments or anything that you had ever had with Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
Okay. So, anybody who's ever heard anything about any kind of statement analysis, body language analysis, deception detection, any of it, like rule number one is like always and never are always deceptive. So the right answer to this question would have been no. Right? Simple no. But we didn't get a no, did we? We get a never. So that's a problem. So we'll keep going. So now we're in problem territory for Colin Albert.
And how would you describe Mr. O'Keefe from your perspective as far as how would you describe him as a person?
A nice guy.
Now watch this carefully. This is interesting. So interesting.
Your relationship with Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor, about how often would it be that you would see him?
Not often. I'd drive by every now and then. He'd be outside and I would wave. He'd wave back. That was pretty much it.
And during the time that you lived on Meadows Ave or a couple months subsequent to that, was there ever any animosity or any sort of arguments or anything that you would ever had with Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
And how would you describe Mr. O'Keefe from your perspective as far as how would you describe him as a person?
A nice guy, a good guy.
Now, with respect to, if I could bring you back to Fairview Road on January 28th and 29th of 2022. Obviously, you were familiar with Mr. O'Keefe at that point.
Yes.
And at any point in time that you were in that home, did you see Mr. O'Keefe inside the home?
No.
At any point in time that you were outside of the home, going in, coming out, at any point in time did you see Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
At any point in time in the evening of January 28th into January 29th, 2022, did you see Mr. O'Keefe anywhere?
No.
And at that time, at the end of January 2022, were you aware of or did you know anybody by the name of Karen?
Yes.
And how did you know?
I knew that she dated Mr. O'Keefe.
And had you had any sort of prior interactions with Miss Reed prior to January 28th?
Not that I remember, no.
You know what she looked like?
Okay, so
Not really.
So not that I remember, no is a lie. When Colin answers questions and the answer comes after, so when the yes or no comes after the explanation, it's deception. So he has had interactions with Karen Reed that he remembers. Okay, so that's just making a mental note of that. Keep going.
As far as any interactions, would that be just sort of driving by the house?
Yeah. Maybe drive by, wave. That was about it.
So we have just in that little segment, right? So he has Lally leading him into an answer. Yeah, drive by, wave. Yeah, that's about it. We have 3 one-sided shoulder shrugs. Just in that little lead-in, which he loves. So I think Alan Jackson wishes he could go back and have this one back, because we learn from both the direct and cross-examination of Colin Albert that he completely falls apart whenever questions are open-ended and he has to kind of fill in. But if you lead him to an answer and you just ask him a leading question, he's going to give you whatever he thinks you want from him. None of what he's saying is coming really from an authentic place. It's all about, what does the person asking me this question want from me, right? So, and you can really see that when you watch carefully and closely. So I'll keep playing.
Now, as far as that, sort of reaching out to Ms. McCabe on that particular evening, was that something that you had done before?
Yeah.
Is that something that sort of you and your friend group did together, as far as if somebody was out and driving around and somebody else was maybe drinking somewhere, they could contact them for a ride?
Yes, correct.
That was as opposed to somebody drinking and then getting behind the wheel and driving, correct?
Exactly.
Right. So this is exactly what I mean. He's just going to answer whatever you want him to answer. But I want you to think about yourself as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, right? In a town like this. These kids are all, every time, every weekend night that they're out drinking, they always have a designated driver that they call to get home to make sure that they do the responsible thing. Because Colin Albert definitely seems like the kind of kid who's always making good choices and thinking ahead of time about, how much he's drinking and who the designated driver is going to be. Right? Right.
Now, sir, at some point in July of 2023, did you have occasion to meet with any troopers from the state police in regard to that evening of January 28th, 29th?
Say the date again.
Some point in July of 2023, did you meet with any troopers from the state police?
No.
At some point subsequent to that date of January 28th, 29th, did you meet with any troopers from the state police?
Yes.
And you were asked questions and you answered them, is that correct?
Correct.
And following that conversation.
Did you hear that question? You were asked questions and you answered them, correct? That's an actual question that Adam Lally asks Colin Albert. You were asked questions and you answered them, correct? Okay. Well, what else would he have done, Lally?
Interview that you had with troopers from the state police. What, if anything, did you provide them with reference to your phone?
Can you rephrase that? Sorry.
At some point, did you provide them with a screenshot of a text communication between yourself and Ms. McCabe?
Yes.
And was that something that you took a screenshot on your own phone and then were able to then provide it to them?
Correct.
Come on.
May I approach?
Yes.
So showing you the document, just ask you to look at it and then look up when you finish. And do you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
What do you recognize that?
My text messages between Allie that night.
And what's contained on that, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you recall as far as the text messages or what was on your phone as far as
absolutely
the screenshot of the text messages between you and Alan McCabe that night?
Yes, sir.
Approach again, Your Honor.
And the thing that is absolutely unimaginable when you watch this testimony carefully, not only is Lally baby spoon feeding him, he doesn't get half of what Lally is feeding him. He doesn't get it. He really doesn't. I mean, on a number of occasions, Lally is like serving up softballs, and Colin is trying to figure out what he's being asked for, and he just doesn't know. So he gets it wrong, right? And that's part of the problem with all these people. That's part of the problem with Colin's testimony, which will be more clear as we go through. Lally's the worst. He's the worst.
I'm going to seek to introduce in a minute.
He's the worst, the
Jackson?
worst, the worst.
One moment. Sure. Don't judge it. Thank you.
All right. And jurors, remember the instruction I gave you about the text messages. Thank you.
No. Definitely not. Neither is Allie, by the way.
So what's
We're
up
going to
on the
hear from
screen,
in
is
a
that what you
minute.
got before you as Exhibit 84?
Yes.
And the contact that's listed at the top states out. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that how you had Ms. McCabe?
Now, by the way, okay, this is a screenshot, right? This is a screenshot that doesn't even look right. Like something about this screenshot, right, doesn't look right. If I look at my phone and I look at this screenshot, it doesn't look right. I'm just saying. Just saying. It looks like what I would create on Canvas if I was inventing a screenshot. And the thing is, I'm just throwing this out there. Allie's dad is like a tech guy, right? That's what he does. He does like high technical security systems, right? That's how come he knew how to do the extraction, the phone extractions, because it's part of like his job, right? Part of his job. So you think he would be able to generate a screenshot pretty easily of these two? Just saying. It's all this is a screenshot. I mean, we don't even know if it is a screenshot. It could just be an image, because a screenshot is essentially just an image. It's an image of something that happened on the phone, but it's very easy to fake a screenshot. Could it get any easier to fake a screen? Sorry, could it get any easier? Do you know how long this would take me to do on Canvas? Like literally less than 10 minutes. I mean, look at this. Seriously. Seriously. Oh, it's so painful. How is this ever allowed to be evidence? Look at this.
Programmed into your phone.
Correct.
And from this, there's two sets of communications, one containing blue bubbles and one containing non-blue.
Like, I don't know. I didn't. So I have a bigger screen. I have a bigger computer monitor. I never realized how shoddy of a screenshot this actually was until right now, because I'm looking at it on a much bigger screen. And when I look at this on my much bigger screen for the first time since I looked at it during the trial, it's not even, it looks like a shoddy screenshot. Do you guys see that? Am I insane? Right. It is, right? Yeah. Right? Do you see how the text, the font? You see how something is wrong about this? Exactly. Exactly. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of this screenshot because it's on my screen, it's a big image. Hold on. Let's see if I can move this and get the full picture. How do I trying to figure out how to make this bigger so you guys can see how shoddy of an image this really is. Like, I did not realize how shoddy this was until right now. Yeah. Oh my God, there's so many things. There's so many things. I mean, what is there? 8 different fonts on this image? There's no bubble. Like, the name looks like it's smudged. Do you see that? Like where it says Allie, it almost looks like the I and the E is like smudged. This was actually allowed to be evidence in a court of law by Judge Beverly Canoni. Yeah. This is wild. This is a very bad fake. It isn't even like, doesn't even pass the like sort of smell test. Yeah. Look at the 8. Absolutely. Look at that. Look how the 8 and the 11 don't line up. Do you see that? Wow. Wow. It's funny. I just didn't see this. Yeah. They're all, the fonts are all different. Wow. I think this is a screenshot from Allie. This is supposed to be a screenshot from Allie's phone, according to her testimony. So let's keep going. I took a screenshot and I will try to find a way to make it bigger on the screen so you guys can see it even better. It's wild. I never realized how shoddy of a fake this actually was until right now.
Correct.
Yes,
If you know the blue bubbles, is that you or is that Ms. McCabe or who's?
that's me.
So the other side would be Ms. McCabe, is that correct?
Correct.
There's also times that are stamped or associated with these text bubbles and with the text communications from Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
If I could direct your attention, and maybe easier if you're looking at the paper in front of you, but just sort of starting from the top.
Unbelievable.
January 28, 2022. If you could read for the jury what the content is, what the time is, and indicate who is communicating.
At 11:54, I texted Allie and said, "You can get me now, period." At 11:54, I texted her again and said, "If easier." At 11:55, Allie texted me back and said, "Okay, I am driving people home now." At 11:55, I said, "Word." And then at 11:55, I said, "Get me after." At 11:55, Allie wrote back KK. And then at 12:10 a.m., Allie wrote here. And at 12:10 a.m., I wrote back okay.
Now, sir, with respect to that last communication.
I mean,
that
by
she
the way,
sent as
that
far
could
as
have been
okay,
cut.
How long after that?
They could have had that conversation at any point in their entire lives. And that could have been taken and used, right, to create a screenshot from that night at any point in their lives. It's wild.
Message was sent, did you then go out to the car where Allie was?
Right after, I'd say around 30 seconds.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness again?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to be showing you what's been marked as exhibits 82 and 83. Again, I just asked you to take a look at those and look up in your. And do you recognize those, sir?
Yep.
And what do you recognize those?
Say that again.
What is in those?
A picture of me and my aunt and a picture of me by myself.
And do you recall sort of when those photographs were taken?
Yes, February 11th.
And why is it that you recall that, well, let me ask you this. As far as February 11th was concerned, where were you that day?
I was at my uncle's house.
And why were you at your uncle's house on that?
My cousin was coming home for leave from the Marine Corps, so we had a little gathering for him.
And just to be clear, when you say your uncle, you're talking about your uncle Brian Albert again?
Correct.
Your cousin that was coming home from the Marines, what's his name?
Jack Albert.
And, so on that evening, you were over that house, is that correct?
Correct.
And the first picture in exhibit, I believe it's 82, is that correct? You and your aunt Nicole?
Correct.
And what's contained on there, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of sort of what you looked like as far as your arms, your hands, your face, all of those things on that date of February 11th?
Correct.
And second photograph is again you by yourself, is that correct?
Correct.
And from that photograph again, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you look like on February 11th?
So
yes.
Here,
second photograph.
So here Lally is showing photographs of what he looked like on February 11th. What that has to do with anything at all, I have no idea. But okay, we'll look at pictures of Colin, of what he looked like on February 11th. Okay, go ahead.
And if you know, where was that taken within the home of your uncle?
In the library at 34 Fairview.
And again, that library or any of the other rooms within the house beyond the kitchen, the dining room, or possibly the restroom, did you go into any other areas of the house on that night of January 28th into January 29th?
No.
I approach this retreat.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Albert, just one last question. When it came to your arrival at 34 Fairview Road on the evening of, or the early morning of January 29th, when you were leaving, beyond your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, did you see anybody else, older than yourself or anybody else related to that group come into the house that evening?
No.
Did you see anybody older than yourself and related to that group? It's the most absurd question of all time. Trying to get Colin. He's trying to prompt Colin here to mention Caitlin, of course. And this is when I realized what a snake Lally really was, because he actually waits. He doesn't want to draw attention to the fact that he's not saying the same thing as his cousin Caitlin and his uncle and aunt, who are saying something different about what they saw when they came home from the waterfall and saw Colin in the house. He doesn't want to draw attention to the fact that he's saying something different. So he waits until the very end to bring that question back. And then he tries to lead him to the answer. Did you see anybody else older than yourself and related to that group? And he's too stupid to get it. So he's just like, nope. He doesn't. I don't know. What do you want me to say, asshole? Right? I mean, this is all invention. So it doesn't matter. He's not going to remember that. This is an invented story, right? It didn't really happen. So, of course, he doesn't remember Caitlin being there because she wasn't there. Oh, it's so frustrating. Okay, so now we're going to get into the cross. It's a little bit more interesting. And it'll start to be clearer and clearer why, again, I can't let him off the hook.
Thanks. I have nothing further.
Mr. Jackson, do you want to begin or wait until the morning?
Months. Oh my God, Amy Law. Holy crap. I can't believe it's been 5 months.
Who did you talk to in order to prepare for your testimony starting yesterday?
Can you rephrase that question, please?
Rephrase the question. You didn't understand my question?
No.
Okay. Who did you speak to in order to prepare for your testimony yesterday?
My lawyer.
Other than your lawyer, who did you speak to prepare for your testimony yesterday?
No one.
You didn't speak to your parents?
No.
You didn't speak to your mom, your dad?
Nope.
At any time?
Okay, let's think about this. Let's think about this logically, okay? Colin Albert is a 17-year-old kid at this time, all right? Maybe he's 18, 17, 18 years old. You're okay. I guess no. To be fair, at the time of this trial is in 2024. He's 17 at the time of the crime, so he's 19, right? He's 19 years old. Is that right? Am I doing the math correctly there? I think so. But you see who this kid is. Colin, you expect the world to believe that you didn't prepare for this testimony with anyone and definitely not your parents? Like, think about that. It's so stupid. It's a stupid thing to lie about. Who cares if you spoke to your parents? They're your parents. You're supposed to speak to them about things that are important, right? Why would you not just say, yeah, I spoke to my father, or I prepared with my dad and my mom and we sat down? I mean, who cares, right? What's the big deal? But he's just not a smart kid. I don't know.
Before yesterday about your testimony or your statements?
Nope.
Did you discuss with your parents their testimony?
No.
Okay, so let's be clear now. Now we know that when Colin uses the phrase nope, he's lying, right? Because we know for sure that he did speak to his parents or his father before he testified. We know it. I mean, it's a fact. This isn't like rocket science. It's just common sense. He lives at home with his parents. He's a child. Okay? Like, obviously, he was directed by his parents, right? Hello. It's okay, Colin, because you're a child. You can just say, yeah, I spoke to my dad. Obviously, this is a huge, huge moment in the life of your entire family who allegedly have been intimidated and tortured for the last however long, but you didn't talk to your parents about the testimony, Colin. So now we know that nope is indicative of telling something that's not true, right? Okay, so we're going to keep going. Just the stupidity factors, like, oh my God.
Off the witness stand, your dad didn't come home and say, here's how my day went.
No.
Your mom didn't come home and say, here's how my day went.
Nope.
The Albert family just ignored the fact that both of them testified in a court of law before a jury about the events of January 29th, 2022. Nothing was ever said.
No.
Unbelievable.
Did you talk to Mr. Lally at any point before yesterday in preparation for your testimony?
Before yesterday, you said?
Correct.
Yes.
Tell me when.
Want to say a month ago about.
What did you talk about?
I got prepped.
Okay, wait. I want to say a month ago. I want to say a lot of things, right? I want to say is an important statement because you might want to say any number of things, but that doesn't make it what you're about to say true. So, of course, it's indicative of deception. Now, why be deceptive about something so stupid? Who cares who you spoke to in preparation for this? Who cares when you spoke to Lally?
For this.
Tell me what that means. What does it mean to prep for this?
What I'm going to be getting asked.
Okay. Remember my first question, very first question this morning? I said, have you spoken to anybody in order to prepare for your testimony? And you said no.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not true. You spoke to Mr. Lally.
Okay. Yes.
It's not an okay, it's yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. You said that was about a month ago, correct?
Correct. Around a month ago.
Tell me what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Around a month ago.
Around.
Tell me what you and Mr. Lally discussed.
The questions I would be asked here.
Can you be more detailed?
I don't remember everything he said.
Did he go over the questions that he believed he would ask?
I believe so.
Did you give him answers to those questions that you believed you would give in response to his questions?
Yes.
What questions did he tell you he was going to ask?
I don't remember.
What answers did you tell him you were going to give?
I don't remember.
That was just a month ago, right?
So now we know when he says, I don't remember, what he's really saying is, I'm not willing to think about this enough to tell you the answer. It doesn't mean I don't remember. It means I really don't want to talk about this anymore. And I'm not going to think about it to give you the answer. So it's like a exit strategy, right? Again, this is just not indicative of the way that people that have just like nothing to hide, it's not the way that they approach testimonies, right? Just not.
Yes.
Obviously, you've been thinking about this case quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
Over the last 2.5 years.
No.
How long have you been thinking about this case?
Since people started writing about me on the internet.
How about since you were at a house where an individual ended up dead on the lawn the next morning? Did that prompt you to start thinking about this case?
No.
Not so much, huh?
Nope.
Did you speak with, when Mr. Lally spoke with you, who else was there?
So that is interesting. I want to just point this out. It is interesting that when he said that felt true. Like for Colin, it is upsetting that people are writing about him on the internet, right? Listen, this kid is, he had to leave college. He had to move home from college. He's, clearly, paranoid that people are watching him or, videoing him or, he's struggled because of all of this. But interesting that he doesn't, in his mind anymore, connect what's happening, this trial, with the death of John O'Keefe. Like that is, for Colin, this whole thing that's happening is connected to people are talking about him on the internet more than it's connected to the death of a police officer. That's important. I don't know what that means, but it's clear from this line of questioning that that's true. So keep that in mind as we move forward.
The witness advocate, I believe, and
Steve Nelson.
yes.
Who else?
And is it Sergeant Tully, I believe?
Yes.
Tully?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Not that I remember.
Sergeant Tully taking notes while you were having this conversation with Mr. Lally?
I do not remember.
Mr. Lally taking notes?
I do not remember.
Do you remember being told by either Sergeant Tully or Mr. Lally that your conversation was being recorded?
I do not remember.
Of course not.
How long was that meeting?
Say 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Were you given any instructions by either Sergeant Tully or Mr. Lally about your preparation for your testimony?
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sure. Did they give you any instructions about your the preparation for your testimony? How they wanted you to answer questions?
Of course.
The tone and tenor of your testimony?
No.
How they wanted you to dress, for instance?
No.
Other than that time a month ago, have you spoken with Mr. Lally or anybody from the DA's office since then, before yesterday?
No.
You watched any coverage of this case online?
Nope.
No social media?
No, I don't have social
Remember,
media.
nope, we
No
know
news,
that's a lie.
No news coverage?
Nope.
We know he's
News,
watching
Channel
social
25,
media.
Channel 5?
No.
National news?
Nope.
Blogs?
Nope.
Blogs.
So literally, according to you, you know zero about the media coverage concerning this case, Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
Correct.
Did you talk to Allie before her testimony?
No.
That was a
When was
quick
the last time
no.
you did talk to Allie before she testified yesterday?
I don't remember.
Give me an idea. She's one of your best friends. A week ago, a day ago, a month ago.
I do not remember.
Could it have been a year ago?
I do not remember.
Could have been 5 years ago.
No.
So it's more recently than 5 years ago that you spoke with Allie.
I don't remember.
So again, we
So
know
you
I
have
don't
no
remember
independent
because I'm not
recollections
willing to
you
think
sit
about
here.
it.
The last time you talked to one of your best friends and your cousin about any subject,
No, I don't remember.
were you ever told in preparation for your testimony, if you start to get stumped or nervous, just say, I don't remember?
Nope.
Nobody ever told you that.
Mm-mm.
So now we know
No.
that's exactly what
No.
they told him.
Sorry.
It's okay. So nobody ever
So we now know, because he said nope, and we know for sure that when he says nope, he's lying. It's a direct lie. That somebody did tell him, if you get stuck, just say, I don't remember. That's exactly what they told him to do. And he's following suit.
Informed you that you might get nervous on the witness stand. There might be tough questions. The easiest way to get out of that is just say, yeah, I don't recall.
No.
So you just don't recall because your memory is that bad. You literally don't recall the last time you spoke with a cop.
Objection.
Ask that differently, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Your testimony is you were not instructed to say, I don't remember. You just literally don't remember.
Correct.
It's an issue with your memory.
Right.
Not an instruction that you received.
Correct.
Right. But you do remember
2.5
years ago, you left 34 Fairview at 12:10 a.m., correct? Down to the minute.
Correct.
Correct.
Did Mr. Lally, during this meeting that y'all had, did Mr. Lally show you anything? Items of evidence, photographs, videos, anything like that?
No.
Did you two talk about any evidence that you might see? Photographs, documents, videos?
Not that I remember.
He didn't show you the series of text messages between you and Miss McCabe, Allie?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you're not saying he didn't. You're just saying, again, you just don't remember.
Correct.
Okay. And this was just a month ago.
Around a month.
Exactly.
Correct.
Could have been sooner than a month.
That's funny.
Let me ask that a different way. Could have been more recently than a month.
I don't know.
Don't know that either.
Just
No.
can't answer these questions.
So, Mr. Albert, you have to answer yes or no, not just.
All right, sorry.
Where were you when this meeting a month ago took place?
At the DA's office on Shawmut Road.
Who contacted you to come to the DA's office?
I do not remember that.
Don't remember that either.
No.
Phone call from Mr. Lally, maybe?
I don't believe that I received the phone call. Maybe my lawyer did or my father, but I don't know. I don't believe I did.
So if your father received a phone call and then told you you need to go to the DA's office to meet with Mr. Lally, that would be a conversation with your dad about your preparation for your testimony. Right?
Yep, he has Alzheimer's.
I wouldn't say so, no.
You wouldn't categorize that as such.
No.
Okay. Because of course, even though you went to the DA's office to meet Mr. Lally and a sergeant from the Massachusetts State Police to talk about your testimony.
Lieutenant,
you didn't
by the
mention that
way,
to your dad.
not a sergeant.
No.
Didn't mention that to your mom.
No.
And when you got done with that meeting, Dad didn't ask you how'd it go, son.
Nope.
Your mom didn't
No,
say.
you did.
How was that meeting
No.
about this massive murder case?
It's unbelievable.
Objection.
Let me ask it a different way. Do you consider this to be a high-profile murder case?
Objection.
Question, why does he need a lawyer?
Stand on relevancy, ask it differently.
In your mind, this is an important case, correct? Obviously.
Correct.
That's
But
funny.
according to you, it just never comes up in the Albert household.
No.
Of course not.
You were asked to look at a couple of text messages yesterday. It's a little bit like this.
Mm-hmm.
You seen that before?
Yes.
When did you see that before?
Yesterday.
You got stumped on
Before
that
yesterday, had you ever seen that before?
On my phone, yeah.
Okay, other than on your phone when you made the screenshot, had you ever seen that before?
Whoa.
Mr. Loudon ever showed
I didn't realize that before, but the way he answered that was deceptive. He said, on my phone, yeah. So he wasn't stupid enough to not remember to claim that he had seen that screenshot on his phone. But he just gave away the fact that that screenshot wasn't on his phone because of the way he answered that question. So now we know from his own statement that that screenshot was something he never saw on his phone. Just want to be clear. because he said on my phone, yeah. Which means it was not on his phone that he saw that screenshot. Now, maybe if you want to be extremely conservative, we could say, oh, maybe that's because he doesn't remember seeing it. So if we're going to give Colin the benefit of the doubt, we can say, well, he doesn't remember seeing it. And so that's why he answered that way. Okay, fine. The other way to read it is to say that that screenshot was never on his phone. So let's keep going. It's one or the other.
Not that I remember, no.
So you two didn't discuss that in your meeting a month or less ago?
We could have.
They did.
I don't remember.
But again, you don't remember.
Mm-mm.
Is that no?
No.
Did Mr. Lally tell you why he wanted to question you about those text messages?
I don't remember.
Did Mr. Lally tell you anything about what you might be asked on cross-examination?
No.
Never.
He asked you about any videos that you've ever posted?
No.
He asked you about any comments you've ever made online?
Unbelievable.
Nope.
Any photos you've ever been in?
No.
Good point.
Fights you've ever been in?
Nope.
Very good point.
Who's Courtney Proctor?
She's friendly with my aunt, Jillian.
I'm sorry?
My aunt Jillian, she's friendly with.
So that was
when you say
sensitive.
friendly with, describe that. What do you mean by friendly with?
This is crazy. It's just crazy. So what happened there? Now remember, I slowed this down just a notch. And what's happening here is he's trying, look at his eyes. He's trying to recall what he's supposed to say. He's not trying to recall a memory of the answer to the question. He's trying to remember what was the rehearsed answer that I was supposed to say when asked about her. That is what he's thinking right there. And you can see it in the way his eyes are right there. He's thinking, oh shit, what was I supposed to say? And he stumbles because he knows it's sensitive, right? Even though, by the way, like if you're an innocent person and there's like nothing to hide, you just answer the questions because there's nothing to hide. You don't have to say, I don't remember the answer to every question, deceive in every question, or come up with a rehearsed statement. I mean, it's just, there's something wrong here, right?
I know that they're pretty friendly.
Wow.
Have you ever been to Courtney Proctor's home?
Total stumble.
Yes.
How many times would you say over the years?
4 or 5, maybe.
Her family
Maybe.
is close to your family, it's fair to say.
Not that close. Close though.
When you say not that close, but close though, what does that mean?
Unbelievable.
I'd say we're more close when I was younger, not when I got older.
Okay. How old are you now? You're 20?
Correct.
Unbelievable.
May I approach? Okay. Thank you. Take a look at that photo and tell me if you recognize it. Just look at it to yourself, please. Let me know after you study it for a second.
Oh, yeah.
You recognize the photo?
Yes.
Who's in that photo?
Objection.
They're very close.
So the objection sustained as to the content of the photos. Did you want to come to sidebar and explain this to me?
So let me explain this. His mother was somebody that Michael Proctor was contemplating being like a babysitter for their son. Right? I mean, they're close. Jillian is best friends. So his mother's sister, the woman who attacked Aiden with the phone, like literally assaulted him on the street, that woman is BFFs with Courtney Proctor. And very, very close, right? It's crazy. It's like, it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Mr. Albert, approximately when was that photograph taken?
Objection.
So we can get that, but we'll answer that question.
10 years or less ago, I'd say. I don't.
You
This is
were
probably
the
about-
ring bearer in Courtney Proctor's wedding, were you not?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Correct.
Of course.
So when you say we're friendly, but not that, or we're close rather, but not that close, you were actually close enough to be a member of her wedding party when she was married to her now husband, correct?
When I was younger, correct.
Well, of course it was when you were younger. It was
Mhm.
10 years ago.
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yeah.
That's my question. So for at least a decade, your family and the Proctor family has been close enough such that you and Albert were in her wedding, correct?
Objection.
Ask that differently, Mr. Jackson.
For the last, well, at least at that time, 10 years ago, your family was close enough to the Proctor family such that you were a ring bearer in Courtney Proctor's wedding, right?
Correct.
And who's Courtney Proctor's brother?
Michael Proctor.
And is Michael Proctor in the photograph that you're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah, he was there.
On the far left,
Correct.
looks like he's in a tuxedo.
Correct.
You were also in a tuxedo.
Objection.
Sustained.
Okay, I'm forwarding this. Forwarding this to the
Allie is
with
obviously
Allie.
family,
Yes.
but she's more than family. She's also a good friend of yours.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, she's one of your best friends.
Correct.
And at your age, this is not meant to be pejorative, but we're a little bit different generations. At your age, your most convenient way of communicating is through text messages, correct?
Correct.
I mean, if you're going to grab a buddy, say, let's meet at the such and such ball field or whatever, you're going to text him.
I know.
Not
He's the
call.
best.
Either or.
Okay.
He's good at this. Alan
Texting is
Jackson.
pretty common between you and your friends.
Yes.
Texting is certainly common between you and Alan. We've already seen evidence of that, right?
Yes.
And that's generally how you like to communicate with Alan.
Yes.
I'd say so, yeah.
In fact,
Okay, so
when you reached out to her,
interestingly, why does Colin Albert hesitate when he's asked about whether or not text messaging is the preferred method of communication between him and Allie? So he hesitates there, and he hesitates for a reason, because right after this event, right immediately following the death of John O'Keefe, there is no text communication between Allie and Colin at all, right? Because allegedly they also use Snap, according to Lally. They snap too. And for some reason, during that time, just after the death of John O'Keefe, they switched to Snap. Huh. Who knows, right? That's why he hesitates here when he's asked, is text messaging the preferred method of communication between you and Allie? Right? So everything that Colin is saying is contrived, is calculated, is molded and shaped by some narrative that they have, that they're trying to formulate, right? It's crazy.
for a ride, there were like 8 text messages back and forth just for a pickup, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, just move your arm.
Sure.
I just want you to have that in front of you. Your Honor, with the court's permission, can you place
perjury
Exhibit 81 on the screen?
Okay.
You see
Perjury
what's
is a crime.
displayed on the screen.
Yes.
It's only part of the text string, but does that look like it's an accurate representation of what you're looking at?
Yes.
And this is a series of texts on or about January 28th and 29th of 2022. Is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Albert, you needed something as simple as a ride. You were just asking Allie to give you a ride. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's because you said that it's common for you guys to text back and forth. You just texted her, hey, you can get me now. Is that right?
Or you can just get rid of your phones
Yes.
altogether.
You texted if it's easier. And then she said, okay, I'm dropping people off. And there was an exchange back and forth. Is that right?
Yeah.
And there were at least 8 texts between the two of you, if you just count them up real quick, just about getting picked up.
Yeah.
But if you scroll down a little bit, after the end of that text string that ends at 12:10 a.m. and it says okay. You see the next date?
February 20th. Look at
Yes.
that.
What date is that?
February 20th.
That's nearly a month later.
That's crazy.
Correct.
February
So there was a
20th.
gap after January 29th, 2022, when you found out that a man had ended up dead on your uncle's lawn.
Unbelievable.
And you and Allie did not text each other for a month, not once.
Objection.
Unbelievable.
Sustained is to that form. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true that on January 29th, later in the day, you found out about John O'Keefe and his condition?
You didn't text your cousin?
Objection.
You didn't text your best friend?
Did you find out that
Say,
day?
oh my
Yes.
God, did you hear? Did you hear what happened?
So you were well aware of,
It's unbelievable.
You were well aware, Mr. Albert, that something.
All right, so wait. So what does that mean, right? So what does that mean? There's no text until February 20th. So that means a couple of potential things. One, these are ridiculous screenshots that are contrived and absurd, right? Like this is not even a real conversation. It was just invented by Matt McCabe on his computer in some design program. That's one possibility. The other is, okay, yeah, this is legitimate, but these two who talk every day, all the time in the same friend group, don't speak at all following the most significant event in all of their families' lives, probably ever, for the next month. Right? Or, I like this. Or Brian Albert told everyone to stop texting. Definitely. But that doesn't really make any sense, right? Like, I mean, in other words, the story that they're trying to sell us is that nobody did anything. We're just, nothing happened. John O'Keefe never came in the house. Right? They tried to move this whole thing off the cops tried to even make it not happen on the lawn. They tried to make it happen on the street. Never even searched the lawn. Right? The whole idea was like, let's just get this whole thing off of Brian Albert's lawn and put it on the street so it has nothing to do with them at all. Right? So then if it has nothing to do with them at all, what are these two kids in the family who have nothing to do with anything? Why would they stop texting? Right? I mean, obviously we know the answer, but we're supposed to believe that these are just like two innocent kids. And that doesn't make any sense. Because why would they stop texting when all they do is text, right? To Alan Jackson's point.
Very tragic that happened at your uncle's house, Brian Albert's house, right?
Correct.
And you were aware that you had been at your uncle's house that night, right?
Correct.
I know.
You're also aware that, according to you, Allie McCabe was the one that picked you up and took you from that location.
Correct.
And notwithstanding the fact of this tragedy, you and Allie didn't text each other one time
Insane.
for a month. Is that right?
I don't think that's correct.
So where are those texts?
Right.
We text on other platforms too. So I'd say other apps.
Right. Of course.
So is there a reason why you decided for the next month to just switch platforms to maybe Snapchat?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No reason.
No
Are
reason.
you
No.
sure that
Of
you
course
switched
not.
platforms?
I'd say so, yeah.
Why did you switch platforms?
We go back and forth, I'd say, between platforms texting.
You switched platforms because you know that Snapchat deletes all communications, correct?
Objection.
See, in reality, I think they probably didn't switch. I think these are just contrived messages. Right. So I bet they didn't go back to Snap. They just didn't, these are not real. They were very likely just contrived, like as you're saying, right? Like, why isn't AJ addressing the lack of the gray or green bubble? I think, as you go back, so if, as I have been in the evidence, it's sort of like, I think the answer to your question is the same answer as how come nobody caught the video at the waterfall where Brian Higgins is pointing at John O'Keefe and saying, come on. And I didn't even see that behind Brian Higgins is Brian Albert and Nicole Albert doing exactly the same thing, also pointing with their fingers and, trying to get John to come to the house. So I think the answer is the same. Like they just, they had to pick and choose. They had to pick and choose their battles. Because, there's only so many of them. And I think that was a real problem until the second trial. They just needed more manpower. I mean, that's why they went out and got this army of interns, because at the end of the day, this was just an enormous, there is so much evidence here. That's the truth. I mean, there is so much evidence here. When you go back and you literally go through each testimony, you find stuff. Every single time I do it, I find new things. So I think it's just a matter of like, you have to pick and choose your battles, right? That's the same reason why I think they don't have Colin in the civil suit, because at the end of the day, you got to pick and choose your battles, and they're trying to find the, most clear-cut path to the end that they want, right? I mean, I think it's that simple, honestly. There's
Ask
too
it
much.
differently, Mr. Jackson.
Do you know that Snapchat has an auto delete function on it?
Yes.
If your app is set to that, yes.
Wow.
Your app was set to that, wasn't it?
I do not remember that.
So again, your memory is failing you.
Yes.
Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Once again, your memory is failing you. You just
Objection.
don't remember.
Objection.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Isn't it true, Mr. Albert, that you either switched platforms or deleted the texts because you did not want your text communications with Alan McCabe
Correct.
to be discovered?
Objection.
Overruled.
Is that right?
That's not true.
So where are those communications?
I do not know.
Can't produce them right now, can you?
I'm not sure.
So in the days, hours, and days and weeks following the death of John O'Keefe, your communications with your best friend, Allie, the person who gave you a ride home that night, they're just gone.
I know.
Right?
I'm not sure.
You testified that you provided
I know.
Exhibit 81, what we were just looking at, and you're still looking at in front of you, as a screenshot of your communications on January 29th, 2022 with Allie McCabe, correct? It was a screenshot.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
You provided that item as a screenshot not as an actual text to law enforcement. Is that right?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Do you know what a screenshot is?
Yes.
What's a screenshot?
When you take a picture on your phone.
That's a picture from your phone.
Yes.
Okay. So it is a screenshot.
Yes, it is a screenshot.
Okay. That's my question. When you met with Michael Proctor in that interview that lasted 10 minutes, Michael Proctor did not get the actual texts underlying that screenshot, did he?
No.
He never looked for those actual texts, did he?
No.
He never asked you for those actual texts, did he?
No.
And you never volunteered to give him those actual texts, did you?
I think I volunteered to, yeah.
On that day?
Oh, no, not on that day, no.
Not on that day. You know what a phone extraction is?
Not familiar.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a phone imaging or a phone extraction or?
Okay, so this is a good question. Real Bear Bauer sends 499 says, I wonder why AJ didn't address the no greens or green bubble. So during Allie's testimony, because I believe the screenshot actually comes from Allie. And that's the reason why Colin right here is stumbling on whether or not he sent a screenshot. He turned over a screenshot. The truth is he didn't turn over anything. And that's what Alan Jackson's pointing out here. This screenshot that we just looked at came from Allie McCabe. So he didn't produce anything. But during Yanetti's cross-examination of Allie McCabe, he does bring up the bubble situation. So because this screenshot that we saw didn't come from Colin Albert, but came from Allie McCabe, that's why I don't think he's being asked questions about that screenshot. The point that Alan Jackson is making now is that nobody asked Colin Albert to give anything. They didn't ask for a screenshot. They didn't ask for text messages. In fact, Michael Proctor's intention was to write Colin Albert out of the house completely from the very beginning, because Proctor is friends with his family. And he was trying to do them a solid by writing Colin out of the story. Truly. The only reason why that didn't happen, the only reason why we know that Colin Albert was in that house is because of Aidan Kearney blowing the story up. But prior to his involvement, so let's say he got involved mid-April of 2023, up until that moment, the whole plan was Colin Albert had nothing to do with this at all, was never in the house. His name appears nowhere because according to the lead investigator, he wasn't there. Michael Proctor doesn't even have him in the house earlier on. He just took his name out of the whole story. So that's the whole thing. It's really important to remember. All these investigators, all these cops had to, in 2023, after Turtle Boy blows this whole thing out of the water, or starts to, they have to kind of race to, change reports, change evidence, grab search warrants. They have to change everything because their plans were essentially foiled completely. Right. So, and that's kind of, I think to your question, that's the answer. And the answer is there was nothing from Colin Albert. He was not even supposed to be a part of this conversation because Michael Proctor was going to do them a solid. That's why his mother wants to buy Proctor a gift, right? Because she did them a solid and took Colin out of the story. So he's not even supposed to be here. Right? From their perspective.
forensic extraction? Any of those words sound familiar?
Not really, no.
Michael Proctor never asked you, I think it's fair to say now, given that answer, Michael Proctor never asked you if you could do a phone extraction of your cell phone, did he?
No.
He never asked if he could take a forensic image of your phone, did he?
No.
Absolutely
Do you know
not.
what metadata is?
Nope.
You know the dates and times. You take a photo on your phone. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time. It'll capture the date and time of the photo. You know that?
Objection.
I'll hear this answer and it may end your inquiry. Do you know that?
Pretty sure I do, yeah.
Have you ever heard of that data, the dates and times and geolocations? Have you ever heard of that referred to as metadata?
No.
Okay, so I'll just use the word date and time.
Okay.
You know that on your phone, if you pull up a text, you can go behind the text and see the date and time that it was actually sent or received, right?
Yeah.
But on a screenshot, you're left with just what's on the screen. Can't go behind the screenshot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You provided just the screenshot, ultimately, not the actual text, correct?
Correct.
But in September of 2023, Michael Proctor's partner, a man by the name of Yuri Buchnick, you know that name?
Yeah.
He contacted you and said he wanted to talk about your text messages, correct?
I don't remember.
Do you remember that you told Yuri Buchnick when he asked about the text messages, you did not have the screenshot anymore. You sent it to your father, Chris.
I don't remember that.
You recall telling Yuri Buchnick if he wanted to get the screenshot, you weren't going to give it to him. He'd have to get it from your dad.
Do not remember that.
You remember Trooper Buchnick agreeing with you and saying, sure, I'll just call your dad and get it from him.
Don't remember that.
You don't remember you certainly don't remember ever giving Trooper Buchnick a copy of that screenshot.
No, I don't remember.
Because you didn't, did you?
I do not remember.
But you did give it to your dad.
That was a
right?
one-sided shoulder shrug.
I do not remember.
Do you remember anything about this case?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll withdraw. To this day, you've never been required to present your phone to any law enforcement agent, have you?
Nope.
Would love to have that phone though, right?
Imaged. It was never downloaded.
Nope.
You still have the same phone?
Why not?
Yes.
If you're innocent, if you're Brian Albert, if you're Colin Albert, if you're Julie Albert, and you have nothing to do with this, hey guys, have your phones extracted and let us all see. That would end the discussion like pretty quickly, wouldn't it? Right? Like, just like give us the information. Like, let us see your car. Like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? If you're innocent, there's nothing to see here. If nobody's involved and you're just in your house celebrating your son's birthday and you wake up the next morning because your sister-in-law barges into your room and, oh my God, I think it's my kids or something happened to my kid. Right? If that's all the bullshit story that you want us to believe, if that's all true, all you got to do is show us your phones, right? That's it. But instead, Brian Albert destroys his phone the day before he finds out from Steve Nelson, the witness advocate, that the defense team is going to put a stay order on the phone. And Brian Higgins goes to like 6 different Army bases to like make sure the SIM card that he breaks isn't anywhere, like they're not close enough to be able to like glue them back together. Yeah, right. No, that's the behavior that innocent people partake in. Definitely. How absurd is this? Oh my God.
If you had the actual texts on your phone, why did you provide law enforcement with just a screenshot?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I'm not sure.
That's a good answer. I'm not sure.
You were shown a photo yesterday of you in February of 2022 with your aunt. Remember that photo? Yeah. Mr. Lally showed you that photo?
Correct.
And he said he wanted you to pay special attention to your face and hands and extremities. Asked you if there was anything unusual about that.
Yes.
You said no. In that photo, absolutely nothing unusual in February 2022 about you, your face, your hands, fists, nothing. Right?
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to February 26th, same month, less than a month after the incident. You were at a place called Fenway Johnny's with your buddies, weren't you?
Correct.
Then I have two documents I'd like to mark for identification with court's permission to show Mr. Lally.
Okay.
Sir, do you recognize those two documents?
Yes.
Taking a look at the one that's got multiple documents on it, I don't want you to tell me what's on it. Just tell me if you recognize the picture that's in the middle to the right.
Yes.
Okay. And then looking at the second document, which I believe is marked EE for identification at this point, does that appear to be a true and accurate enlargement of the first thumbnail?
Yes.
And those were taken on February, that photo was taken on February 26, 2022.
Yes.
At the place called, I think it's called Fenway Johnny's, right?
Correct.
Okay, there's the photo.
An event of some sort, of just you were at a bar.
Just at a bar.
Okay. I want you to take a look at your right hand. Can you see from there clearly your right hand?
Yes.
What do you notice about your right hand?
It's cut up.
Your knuckles are injured, correct?
Correct.
This is a good.
Now, you didn't take this photo, did you?
Nope.
That photo was never on your phone.
This is we get to hear the story about how we got.
It wasn't a friend of yours that took the photo.
How we got the cuts on his.
This was taken by an event staff member, is that right?
Correct.
It was later posted on social media, isn't that right?
Correct.
You could not access the metadata. You couldn't access the time and date of that photo.
Welcome, Jane Marie. 3666.
I'm not sure what you mean by
You
that.
couldn't manipulate the time or date this photo was taken.
No.
This photo was completely sort of out of your control, isn't that right?
Correct.
And it was controlled by the event staff at Fenway Johnny's.
Correct.
And on February 26th, less than a month after the incident at Fairview, that's what your right knuckles look like, correct?
Correct.
And this is a true and accurate depiction of your condition on or about February 26th, correct?
Correct.
How'd you get those injuries, Mr. Albert? We can pull the lights up.
I was at a party, a house party my senior year, and I remember it being icy out, and it was kind of like a steep hill of a driveway, and I was walking up the driveway and I slipped down the driveway and I tried to catch myself, but I had something in my left hand, so I had tried to brace myself with my right hand, and I ended up sliding a little bit down the driveway.
What'd you have in your left hand?
If I remember, it was either my phone or a beverage.
So according to you, you fell on ice and injured your knuckles, as we just saw in that photograph, right across the top of your knuckles.
Correct.
So it's interesting
So you
because he
fell
didn't
onto
actually say that. I want.
Asphalt?
Yes.
Let's
And you
hear
braced-
him. Let's hear that. We're gonna hear that explanation again. I don't think he says anything about.
Left hand.
I don't think he says anything about hurting his knuckles. Hold on.
And I remember it being icy out, and it was kind of like a steep hill of a driveway, and I was walking up the driveway and I slipped down the driveway and I tried to catch myself, but I had something in my left hand, so I had tried to brace myself with my right hand, and I ended up sliding a little bit down the driveway.
What'd you have in your left hand?
Yeah, he didn't say anything about hurting his
If
knuckles.
I remember, it was either my phone or a beverage.
So according to you, you fell on ice and injured your knuckles, as we just saw in that photograph, right across the top of your knuckles.
Correct.
So you fell onto what, pavement, asphalt?
Yes.
And you braced yourself when you fell, your entire body weight by putting your right hand down in a fist, and you injured your right fist, just the top of the
Right,
knuckles
just
on your
right
right
here.
fist when you fell down.
Correct.
Right. It's a good story.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
It's ridiculous.
You didn't put your palms down when you fell?
Ridiculous.
No.
Absolutely
Your entire
ridiculous.
body weight on your right fist and just injured the top portion of your knuckles, correct?
Correct.
You see how this is what I was saying earlier
Those injuries to your
about
knuckles
how
look an awful lot like.
you see how Jackson ends up feeding him the answers, like so that he kind of gets away with many of like a lot of this BS that he gives us. Either Lally serves it up to him, leads him to an answer, but actually Jackson ends up doing it too. And I think it's just to make it move faster, particularly with Bev there, right, to pounce immediately and to try to stop at any moment that she can to try to stop the line of questioning. So he's got to kind of serve up some of this to get him to move quickly through some of these questions. But unfortunately, because of that, he gets like get out of jail free cards over and over again. He doesn't have to actually answer the questions. He doesn't have to come up with an answer because Alan Jackson is giving him the answer, right? Just so all he has to do is say, yeah, right. No, yeah, that's right. Or no, I don't remember.
Kind of injuries that you would get in a
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You ever been in a fight, sir?
Other than with my brothers, no.
You've never been in a fight
Nope.
your entire life.
Other than with my brothers, no.
Never hurt your knuckles before.
Not sure what you mean.
Never hurt your knuckles in a fight.
No.
Look at him. Look how
And in
easily
this
he's
case,
lying
when you
about
fell down
this.
on the asphalt, it was only the top four.
Look at his answers here. They're really important because the whole world knows that he's been in a fight. Okay. We have videos that emerged almost like in real time as this testimony is happening. Fight videos are like being posted on the internet. So we know he's absolutely lying. I mean, it's not a question. He's absolutely lying. Watch him here because you want to know what it looks like when he's lying. This is it.
Knuckles of your right hand, correct? Pavement, asphalt,
Yes.
and you braced yourself when you fell. Your entire body. Your knuckles look an awful lot like the type of injuries that you would get in a
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You ever been in a fight, sir?
Absolutely.
Other than with my brothers, no.
Very
You've
true.
never
Loaded
been in a
hot
fight.
1034.
Nope.
Your entire life.
Other than with my brothers, no.
Never hurt your knuckles
Nope.
before.
Not sure what you mean.
Never hurt your knuckles in a fight.
No.
And in this case, when you fell down on the asphalt, it was only the top four knuckles of your right hand, correct?
Correct.
You right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Mhm.
You box?
Nope.
I'm sorry, you don't box?
Nope.
You've never boxed?
Never.
Wow.
You ever
Never
practiced
boxed.
boxing?
I've hit the bag for like cardio, but other than that, no.
When you hit the bag, is that considered boxing?
I wouldn't say so. Not
It's not jumping
really.
rope, is it, Mr. Albert?
No.
It's not doing curls.
Right.
Nope.
Not doing push-ups or calisthenics.
Nope.
It's hitting a bag, correct?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
boxing, right?
Definitely.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah. When that photograph was taken at Fenway Johnny's, those knuckles look like they had been re-injured from a prior injury. No?
Right.
No.
Just falling on the asphalt.
Correct.
Any other cuts or scrapes from that terrible fall on the asphalt?
Objection, Your Honor.
Terrible fall on the asphalt.
Any other cuts or scrapes or injuries from that fall?
I don't remember.
Just your right knuckles.
Yeah.
You said you've never been in a fight before.
Nope.
Nope. Remember, we know nope is a lie.
Did you post a video? You threatened that you're going to.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained. I'll see you at sidebar on this. I'm familiar with this.
Right. Oh, now she knows what's coming here, right? She knows the threatening videos are coming here.
So, Mr. Albert, you stay right where you are. We're going to see a couple of short
This is like
videos.
right here, right?
And then Mr. Jackson will ask you questions, and then Mr. Lally will ask you questions. Then I'll hear from the lawyers, and then I'll take a break, and you'll get a break before we go back. Okay?
Yeah.
Did you have a lawyer present?
You have a
I do not.
lawyer present.
All right.
Unbelievable.
So the
What a
first one,
disgrace.
are they both on the same? They're separate. All right. So
Unbelievable.
let's mark.
All right, this
let's
is a
mark
wide
them
here, so I'm
each
gonna
for
I'm
identification.
gonna go.
The one
Let me
I'm
go
holding in
back
my
to
right
the.
hand,
Bring it up.
I'll call advantage.
Okay.
Well, I might as well just play this here.
GG first, please.
Yes, sir.
Your advantage boys, I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
And the next one, please.
Your advantage, bro. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to take those two videos one at a time. I'm going to call one the Advantage Boys and one the Bang Bang video. For
This is the
purposes
best.
of my questioning, Mr. Albert,
This is the best.
specifically regarding the Advantage Boys video, did you recognize it?
Yes.
How did you recognize it?
What do you mean by
How
that?
do you recognize it? Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. When was that taken?
Maybe my sophomore year in high school.
Maybe.
Around.
Or maybe not.
I don't remember.
You said your sophomore year in high school, that's about 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, around.
You indicated on
around.
cross-examination,
My senior
you've never
year.
been in a fight,
No.
indicating that you have no violent tendencies and no violent proclivities, correct?
Nope.
What were you saying on that video?
That I would beat them up.
Did you say you would beat them up, or did you say, I will fuck you up?
I said I will F you up.
No, you didn't say, I will F you up. What did you actually say?
That I would fuck them up.
You also said something about beating somebody's ass, right?
Correct.
What did that mean?
That I would beat them up.
So when you said, I will fuck you up and I will beat your ass, was that a friendly invitation?
No.
That was a threat, correct?
I don't know if I would call it a threat. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Someone walks up to you.
This is when Alan Jackson shines.
Someone did. Walked up to you and said, I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. You wouldn't take that as a threat?
If they walked up to me, yeah.
See, there it is.
But if they didn't walk up and just shouted it across the street and stood there and said,
Watch that.
I will fuck you up. I will
Watch the choir boy's face turn from the choir boy into the Advantage Boys video.
That I
Because
would
of-
beat them up.
Because of Jackson's
Did you
question.
say you would beat them up, or did you say,
Watch.
I will fuck you
Watch
up?
his face.
I said I will F you up.
No, you didn't say, I will F you up. What did you actually say?
That I would fuck them up.
You also said Something about beating somebody's ass, right?
Correct.
What did that mean?
That I would beat them up.
So when you said, I will fuck you up and I will beat your ass, was that a friendly invitation?
No.
It was a threat, correct?
I don't know if I would call it a threat.
Don't?
I'm not sure.
Someone walks up to you.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Someone did. Walked up to you and said, I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. You wouldn't take that as a threat?
Watch his face.
If they walked up to me, yeah.
But if they didn't walk up and just
There it
shouted
is.
it across the street and stood there and said, I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. That's not a threat.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you are sure, sir.
All right, so that I'll strike at the Commonwealth standing up and objecting.
Were you threatening these advantage boys, guys, whoever they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda.
Were you threatening them with violence?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. In the second video, you said, fuck you a number of times. And then you said, KO, you said, pull up, KO, bang, bang. Right?
Correct.
Explain that to me.
Not sure. Like, explain what I said.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Pull up, bitch. Right?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Those same advantage kids.
Got it. So you're threatening them yet again a second time.
Yeah.
What does pull up mean?
Like, come by.
Yeah, meaning get over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Because when you do, I'm going to fuck you up. Right?
I'm going to shoot you is
Yeah.
actually
Meaning
what
I'm
it
going to
means.
fight you and I'm going to put you down. Correct?
Correct.
That was your threat to them.
Correct.
Can we get a time on this second one?
Look at that.
When was the second one?
Here she is.
The
tries
bang
to
bang
swoop in.
threat made. Before or after
Unbelievable.
the advantage boys?
Totally.
I'm not sure.
After?
Might have been the same night. I really don't know.
Well, you're dressed completely differently, so it's probably not the same night. You would agree with that.
Unless I could have changed my shirt. I do that often.
Okay.
So that was
You
important.
changed your shirt on the same night. You just decided to
Could have
threaten
changed
them
my
with
shirt. I
that
do it
twice.
often.
Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Was it around the same time frame?
Around, yeah.
All right. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Albert,
Round, yeah.
you do like to fight, don't you?
Nope.
The fact of the matter is, you showed up at another.
So just to be clear, nope means yes, because consistently, every time he uses it's deceptive, right? Every time. At this point, it's like clockwork. So he does like to fight. I mean, I was just thinking about this. Okay, think back to I'm thinking back to high school, right? And I'm even thinking like college. I'm thinking, do I ever remember a time where the group of friends that I had, or any of the people that I knew, or even knew of, were like threatening other groups, like threatening their lives, like pull up, bitch, KO, bang, bang? I'm trying to remember this. I'm trying to be honest about this. Do I ever remember having friends that were literally threatening another group of kids? And I can't come up with it. Now, maybe I'm just misremembering, or, it's been a long time, to be fair, since I was 16. But I can't remember. I remember kids fighting, you get like one guy's fighting with another guy over like a girl or something like that. But a group of guys like pull up, bitch, KO, bang, bang. Like maybe in college, like that seems like drug running kind of stuff, right? That doesn't seem like normal high school, like it just doesn't. Now, maybe it is, and I'm misremembering. I don't know. It seems a little excessive, right? So you do, okay. You do was like high school football teams. Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe you're helping me now. That does kind of jar. Maybe not that extreme language, but like fighting, definitely. No, you're right. Definitely fighting. Football team, definitely. Yep. Okay. Maybe. But it does feel like he is a different kind of animal, though. I would agree with you. It has a different feeling to it when it comes from him, right? It really does. Like he has that look in his eye, Colin. Like Colin has that look in his eye, and Alan Jackson, through his like brilliance, Alan Jackson's gift is being able to elicit emotion on the witness stand. That's like what he can do. And when he does it, he like figures out what people's kind of like soft spots to push are, and he gets them emotional. And when they're emotional, they make mistakes, right? They screw up. And that's exactly what both Brian Higgins and Colin Albert do under cross-examination. And Colin, that look in his eye that we saw there for a second, when Alan Jackson's like, well, if somebody walks up to you, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, and they threaten you, and they're like, whatever, pull up, bitch, I'm going to fuck you up. And all of a sudden, like Colin's whole face changes. Like the look in his eye changes completely. And you see like that look, that feels important. So that look, although that's not one of my top 7 reasons why Colin was in the house, it's not one of them, but it's important. That look is one of the reasons why it's very hard to say Colin wasn't involved in this, right? We know he was at the house, okay? Their stories do not add up about him leaving the house. They're very shady, okay? Allie is like the worst. No, she's not. Let me take this back. She's not even like at the top 5 worst witnesses in these 2 trials. But she's a terrible witness. She's very nervous. Her statements are just as questionable as anybody else's. Their stories about Colin leaving the house are total BS. Everybody tells a different story. Colin is totally full shit. Colin tells us that as he's literally walking out of the house, he sees his aunt and uncle walking in, not his cousin, Caitlin, but his aunt and his uncle. Allie tells us that she doesn't see anything. Colin just walks out. Brian Albert tells us that Colin is sitting at the kitchen table with his, cousin, Brian Jr., when they walk in. Nicole has him like at the front entrance way when she walks in, and she's like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? Right? Which is totally absurd. So in other words, why, if Colin Albert is not in this house, why is everybody lying about Colin Albert being at the house? Right? Right or wrong? Do you see what I'm saying? So the just absurdness of all of this, the effort to lie, and they're not even close. I mean, it's just egregious lying about Colin and where he is and when he's leaving. These ridiculous screenshots where like the fonts are all different, right? Like Colin, is it Colin's screenshot? Is it Allie's screenshot? Why are they different? Why are the bubbles not the right colors? Why doesn't anybody ask for like a legitimate metadata of a phone? How hard would that be to produce? It would be so easy. And it would end any conversation about it being incorrect, right? Just get the metadata. We don't have to ever have this conversation again. Yes, and Allie's right? That whole absurd. Well, we're gonna take a look at Alan in just a minute, but just the lying. It's just like, guys, what is all the lying, right? So when you think about, first off, somebody mentioned this already. I'm gonna try to see if I can find it now because I saw it sort of fly by earlier. So it is important. Yeah. So that's right. So Real Bear Bauer sends 199 and says Steve Scanlon tipped him off. So Scanlon is an important character in all this. And right, he's the guy that started this whole thing. He may have tipped off Colin, but he also tipped off the defense. I mean, without Scanlon, Yannetti and Karen Reed are like, talking about what was the original like plea? Like some kind of drunk driving situation. I forget what the original plea or charge was before it was upcharged to like murder. But Steve Scanlon, days after this happens, I forget, February 1st, maybe, calls up Yannetti and says, you got to look at Brian Albert and his nephew, Colin. Now, it has never been clear to me whether or not he was saying that because he knew the character of Brian Albert and Colin the same way that we're able to see their character. I mean, Brian Albert was aggressive, a fighter, notorious for getting drunk and fighting with other cops that he was even friends with, right? So Scanlon was also a boxer on the boxing team with Brian Albert when they were children, when they were babies. They've known each other 20 years. So was it that Scanlon just knew the character of Brian Albert and his nephew and figured there's no way you got a dead cop on the front lawn at Brian Albert's house? There's no way Brian Albert is not involved. Or did he know something that we don't, right? And I'm not going to show you this now, but the original story that Scanlon gave to Yannetti, when you hear the actual, the story, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. So my question has always been, is Scanlon just giving us, like, did he just give Yannetti information that he extrapolated from prior knowledge of these people? Or was that something he knew to be a fact that he got from somebody in the house, right? But either way, the nephew is Colin Albert, right? So Colin was immediately named as being involved. And when you see his character, certainly it's like, yeah, it's a no-brainer, right? If all things are equal, we stop there. Like, right? That's it makes total sense. I mean, if you knew nothing else about this case at all, and just what I just said, Brian Albert and Colin Albert did something to John O'Keefe, could you believe it? Of course. Now, we also have a whole other discussion. I mean, many discussions, but now we have Brian Higgins that gets added to the discussion, and a motive that comes from having had a text relationship with John O'Keefe's girlfriend. And we have him in the waterfall texting Karen at 11:30. Well, we see him all riled up. We see him whispering at the waterfall to, Brian and Nicole Albert. We see them motioning to John, and all three of them trying to get him back to the house. Right? So when you add that, and that then starts to make Colin look less important. So it's tricky. And I think that's probably the reason why Colin is not, named in the civil suit. However, because they cannot tell the truth about whether or not he's in that house, it's very shady, right? So the question is, if there was some kind of a fight breaking out in that house, would Colin Albert have been upstairs or inside with Brian Jr. and Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, or would he have been wherever his uncle Brian was? Right? That's sort of the question. So let's hear where we're at here. Hold on. I want to just hear this jury.
The person that was questioning you, that you had an injury to your fist, correct?
Hold on.
I'm not sure.
When you work out on a heavy bag, you wrap your hands, don't you?
I do not know.
I see. So only your right hand gets injured over and over and over and over again. Not your left hand.
I'm not sure.
Even though you punch in the bag with both hands.
I'm not sure.
Yet again, you're right-handed, aren't you?
Yes.
So when you throw a haymaker, your hardest punch, that's with your right fist, right?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Is that right?
I would say they have equal. They're equal. I don't know. Not sure.
All right, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Albert, when those videos were made, you were a sophomore in high school, is that right?
Around that, yeah.
Around
How
that.
old were you when you were a sophomore in high school?
Yeah, around that.
16 years old.
And so that would have been at least a couple years before January of 2022, correct?
Yeah.
And as far as within those videos, well, as far as timing, so those videos were around the same time, both sort of same time period within your sophomore year?
Correct.
And relatively close to each other, is that correct?
Correct.
And who or what is an advantage?
It's a club hockey team.
And what, if any, relationship did you have with that club hockey team?
None.
And so, as far as what videos you were made and sending, were there any videos from that group that were made and sent to you?
Text messages.
And with regard to those text messages, generally speaking, what do they say?
Just name calling me and my friends, calling us like pussies and stuff like that.
So this was sort of a back and forth, is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's a reason to threaten their lives, sure.
Hockey?
Nope.
Right. And were these
I was thinking the
people around
same
your age at
thing.
that time?
Yeah.
It's exactly what
Were
I
they
was
kids
thinking.
from the same town or different?
He grew out of it.
I don't even know where they're from.
Did you even really know these kids or what the names were or anything like that?
Not at all.
And was there ever any sort of physical fight or even a physical interaction with these other kids?
Never.
Did you ever even meet them face
Never.
to face?
Never.
And
They did meet
with
face to
regard
face.
to Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived at the top of the street.
Oh, this is
Seven
good.
Meadows, you ever threaten him?
Never.
Did he ever threaten you?
Never.
Do you ever have any sort of back and forth exchange similar to what was up on the screen?
Never.
Wow.
I have nothing further on
Okay.
Your Honor, may I, very briefly? You indicated, Mr. Albert, that this was your sophomore year in high school. But you were asked that exact same question under oath, the time frame of these videos in that other hearing, weren't you?
I believe so, yes.
Whoops.
You indicated under oath in that hearing that it looked like it was your junior or senior year
Yeah.
in high school, correct?
Maybe I'm not I'm not sure.
Yeah,
exactly
one-sided
what I said.
shoulder
Your
shrug.
senior year would have been what year, sir?
2022, 21, 22.
Right.
Same year John O'Keefe died.
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
That's all I have this time.
Right. So
All right.
I
will
didn't
hear you.
realize until I did not realize that last question was the end of that testimony. I didn't realize that that Colin's testimony ends with Alan Jackson nailing him on the fact that not only were those videos during his junior or senior year, but that they were the same year that John O'Keefe dies. That was a great ending for the defense. And I never caught that in real time. Right? No, Lally is just such a dipshit. Adam Lally is just like, God, he's like the scum of the earth, right? Tries to sneak in. You think that Adam Lally doesn't know how old Colin Albert was? Colin Albert looks the same in the videos we see. He doesn't look 16, right? He doesn't look 16. It doesn't look like that was 4 years ago. Looks like the same. Of course he was a senior. Right? Like, it's just the whole thing is so absurd. But he gets nailed at the end there. And so that was a really good ending for the defense. And I never realized that that's how it ends with Alan Jackson's question. Because that's an important ending. Right? So there's a lot in there. And your guys are going to see my next video is going to drop today. So later today, this morning, in a few hours. And you're going to see all the testimony that clearly, like I pull it out so you can see real clear where he is directly lying. And where he is directly lying, is around there having been problems in the past with John O'Keefe. They did have problems. It was stupid shit. Like Colin Albert would flip off John O'Keefe. Like, who knows why? But when John would drive by, Colin would give him the middle finger. Geez, does that sound like something that Colin would do? Seeing as every image of Colin Albert is him flipping off somebody? Right? It's just. So again, they did have issues. Now, maybe it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Colin Albert and John O'Keefe had issues, and Colin Albert is in that house, but John O'Keefe never goes into that house, who cares? Because John never went in the house, right? And if I'm an honest person, I don't want to commit perjury because that's a crime in and of itself. Wouldn't I just admit 100% whatever the truth was? Because additionally, the truth is the guy never came in the house. So who cares if we had problems? Who cares if we were absolute mortal enemies? He didn't come in the house. So what does it matter, right? I mean, but instead, these guys do everything the opposite. So whatever innocent people would do, whatever that looks like in your mind, this group of, quote, witnesses does exactly the opposite of whatever you have in your mind. Every time, over and over and over again. And they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. And it's not just Colin. Like, I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of stupidity here. I hate to even use that word, but like at the end of the day, that's the only word that really like works. You think about Tristan, think about Caitlin, you think about Colin, think about Allie. These guys are just not super smart. And part of the problem is they're so fucking stupid that they screw everything up. Like they testify, like Tristan. Oh my God, right? No wonder why he stopped pursuing being a police officer. I mean, that guy has more consciousness of guilt. He's got consciousness of guilt for Brian Walshe. He's got every defendant that's ever lived. Tristan, for some reason, is carrying the consciousness of guilt for everybody. That guy's got more consciousness of guilt than anyone I've ever seen. And all he did was either pick up his girlfriend or pretend to pick up his girlfriend, one or the other. I don't actually think he may not have ever even gone to that house. But for some reason, he feels so guilty that he has a total and complete memory loss meltdown in front of the world while testifying. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? Anything ever? Like, if you haven't seen Tristan Morris' testimony, you need to go like right now. I don't want you to leave me, but you have to see this. It is unimaginable how much consciousness of guilt this guy has. And that's the problem, right? It's like they're not the smartest group. And I think that's kind of like what we're looking at. Like we're looking at folks who are like not the smartest group, trying really hard to do their best to lie, to say the rehearsed things they were told to say. And I think it's probably Brian Albert who's behind 90% of it, right? Telling them what to do and pulling the strings. And it's just is what it is. And on the other side of it, you have these guys making the worst decisions over and over, doubling down on their lying. Just like the idea is like, if we just keep doubling down and doubling down and doubling down, nobody can ever say, like, there's not enough evidence to actually conclusively say that we did anything wrong. So we'll just keep lying over and over. And as long as the O'Keefe family believes that it was Karen Reed, then there's no pressure on any law enforcement to do anything about this, right? There's no pressure to actually investigate the death of police officer John O'Keefe, which, let's be honest, has never been investigated, not by anybody. Because if you think Michael Proctor did an investigation, well, you know, obviously that's absurd. So this man's, as far as I know, because we don't know what the feds produced, as far as I know, the death of police officer John O'Keefe has never been properly investigated by anyone at any time, ever. And it's very, very sad. Very, very sad. Well, I think Tristan, from what I understand, withdrew from being a can cop, decided against it on his own, made the decision not to keep pursuing being a police officer. And there were a few incidents, I should say, that appeared to have maybe contributed to that. I mean, we can't know definitively, but it does appear as though he withdrew his name, took his name off the list. The worst investigator the world has ever seen, right? Michael Proctor might be the worst investigator the world has ever seen. It's very sad. It's beyond very sad, right? It's like, come on, like, why? This is a police officer. And the way that these guys immediately went to such great lengths to protect Brian Albert instead of investigate with integrity the death of John O'Keefe, that's what's so sad. Like, that's what happened here, right? Everybody went into overdrive, including Chief Berkowitz, including whoever at the Boston Police Department, whoever was in charge over there at that time. All these people went to great lengths to protect Brian Albert before they went to great lengths to try to figure out who killed John O'Keefe. And therefore, Karen Reed was like the easiest answer. And it just, all they had to do was like, what? The CERT team found, legitimately, the CERT team found one tiny piece of red taillight, maybe two, and a piece of that clear piece of plastic with the diffuser, right? It was the diffuser. Isn't that what they were called on the taillight? That's all they had to find. That's what they found. That first original CERT team search, it was like three pieces of small pieces of plastic, right? Because they had to have enough to make it look like Karen Reed did this. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Tristan, Welcher, Bukaki, and Proctor was like pulling freaking teeth, right? Absolutely. I would rather have all my teeth pulled than listen to them testify. I mean, at this point, it's like, it's right. And they got themselves in big trouble. I mean, when you listen to the jurors, especially for the second trial, talk about the cops, I can't remember if it was, can't remember which juror it was, but one of the jurors talks about how, what's his name? Kevin O'Hara was like violently shaking like this when he testified. And I don't think I could see that. I don't think we can actually see it. I mean, he seems very uptight, but I don't know if I see him like violently shaking. But one of the jurors was like, even Kevin O'Hara, who has very little to do with anything, right? Allegedly, he's violently shaking because he's so nervous testifying. I mean, it's just a disgrace, all of it. I think this was all to protect Colin and Higgins. They have my vote for perpetrators. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to not, I don't know. Oops, sorry, I meant to. Oh my God, I love you, Sam. Lally is a dipshit. Lally is such a dipshit. Lally's like, I have so many names for Lally. He's like the worst scumbag ever. He really, really is. Like, I think the way Adam Lally, I hate getting in this man's head, but I think the way Adam Lally figured all of this was like he was just going to put his head down and do his job because he saw it as like, I'm working for, this is like the O'Keefe family is behind him. And he's, scoring points with the prosecutor's office, with his boss, Morrissey. And all he's got to do is just like do his job, which is try to make each one of these completely moronic witnesses like look like regular people. Right? Make them sound like normal human beings instead of like they sound, right? So you got to tip your cap to Lally in that he put on, what was it, 60 something witnesses all by himself. I mean, this man, imagine the work that requires. So I think he just was like, put his head down and like do the job. I don't think he gave any time, effort, or thought to whether or not he was doing the right or wrong thing. I think it was just like, I'm just doing my job, right? Yeah. I think there was no consideration of like whether or not Karen Reed was really guilty or like innocent. It was just like, I'm doing what the O'Keefe family wants. I'm doing what my boss is telling me to do, and I'm doing it the best way that I know how to do it, whatever that was. And by the way, just in case, because sometimes I hear people say, well, Lally, or like imply that Lally wasn't willing to do the second trial. Absolutely false. Like we hear from Paul O'Keefe after that, on the day that the mistrial happened, he turned to the O'Keefe family and said, I'm ready to go again right now. So I think he was geared up for the second one, but he was pulled away, right? Like he was literally taken, put in on the bench, so to speak. Samantha, I'm still having trouble understanding what did these people witness? That's a great question. I'm still having trouble understanding what did these people witness. It's a great question, right? And I think the answer is different for everyone. Like each one of them has there's like a different answer. And I think we're all, even those of us that have been so deep into this case for a really long time, we're all still trying to sort that out. Like what happened to John, right? Like that question I think you're trying to get to is the thing that we're, the thing that we argue amongst each other about, like, or not argue, but try to figure out together, right? So for example, I'll get a breakdown of like where Jen McCabe was according to her Apple Health data at different times, and then where, what John's health data was saying, and comparing the two against a time sequence, right? And you can see, for example, that like when Jen McCabe says she's getting up to look outside at the car, she's actually not moving at all. That's just an example. So what does that tell us then about what was really happening inside the house at that time? Those are the kinds of questions that I think, we're all still trying to sort out. If you ask me today, what do I think happened to John? I think I have two scenarios in my mind, right? One is he goes into the house, Brian Higgins is waiting for him immediately, says, I want to talk to you about something, pulls him aside. That might mean pulls him aside outside in front of the garage, like by the in the driveway. But Brian Higgins could have been sitting in the Jeep waiting for him outside because he was so eager to talk to John. I believe that because Karen didn't answer the well text message, that he intended to tell John about the text communications with Karen. That is my opinion. Other people keep it very simple. They think it was like peacocking, like, big tough guy kind of stuff, like it's, my girl versus your girl, like I'm here to try to take your girlfriend. But I never saw any of that from Brian Higgins in his text messages. To me, the entire time, he was like, John's a good guy, and I don't want to have anything going on with you unless your relationship with John is over. To the point where, like, Karen goes to his house to have a, quote, drink, and nothing happens. Nothing sexual happens, right? So the point that I'm making is he could have pursued a sexual relationship with Karen Reed, and he didn't, Brian Higgins, because of John. So to me, they were really drunk. Everyone was really drunk. To me, Brian Higgins was waiting for John so he could tell him about the text messages. Now, that's my personal belief based on the characters involved in the story. I also think that in so doing, John didn't react well. Wouldn't have reacted well. And that thereby would have started some kind of altercation. Now, that is in my head, that is a very real possibility. Exactly where did that exchange take place? Could have been in front of the garage and then moved into the garage, right? Could have been down in the basement. I think that's a little bit unlikely. And one of the things that, so I think it's most likely that whatever happens outside, away from the people in the house. That is my opinion today. I don't think that the whole group in the house knew what happened when it was happening. But it's really tough to figure that part out, right? And here's the thing. These people, if they had just told the truth about whatever they were doing, then they wouldn't have made it so clear or obvious that something happened to the man in the house that involved the people in the house, right? Like, it wouldn't have been so obvious if they could have just told the truth, but they just couldn't. And to me, it comes down to like stupidity, because the most obvious thing here would have been everybody just tell the truth. But they couldn't do it, and that's the problem, right? Liz Rose says, yes, Higgy is waiting outside and Colin was getting a beverage from the garage. Oh, I like that. They both came out, so that's why no one else saw it happen. I mean, yeah, listen, Colin could have been smoking weed outside, right? I mean, certainly that's a possibility, right? And one thing that, when Jen said whatever happened inside was very separate or something like that. She says whatever happened inside was completely different or separate from whatever happened outside. That was like a whoa. I felt like that was a very important thing that she said there. That felt significant when I heard it. And the second trial, one of the things about Jen McCabe's testimony that we are going to get back to, I promise, because it's so important. Jennifer McCabe's testimony might be the most important testimony in all of the two trials. Well, not besides like ARCA and the experts. The reason being that she gives us a lot of information. It's almost like she almost like wants to tell us, right? I mean, it's interesting. There are a lot of important little nuggets that come from her. The second trial. And maybe the first two, but it's different. The presentation is very different. So it comes across very different. But it's very hard not to, listen, they all three could have been involved, right? Higgins, Brian Albert, Colin Albert. Very likely all three could have been involved. Or could have had some culpability. For sure. For sure. 100%. She also said they didn't come outside because they were sleeping. I'm not sure I'm following that. She also said they didn't come outside because they were sleeping. Who was sleeping? I'm not sure what that was a reference to. If the McAlberts and Higgy were so tight-lipped about certain details, why did they adamantly mention Higgy? Right. Right. The plow on the Jeep was used to move. Yeah, it had to, something about the plow, right? There had to be, there's some reason that the plow is mentioned. That's why, the other thing too, in addition to that, there's a couple things here. First, we know that Brian Higgins, doesn't walk into the house at the same time as Nicole and Brian. He walks in after them. So it appears like he's outside longer. And that to me indicated, all right, very possible he's outside in the Jeep, parked in the driveway, right? Because why else is he mentioning plowing the driveway? So to me, he could very well be parked in the driveway with the plow. And then eventually he's using the plow to remove evidence or move bodies or do whatever. Right. Exactly like you're saying. The whole thing with the Jeep is so bizarre. The only other reason why putting the Jeep in front of the mailbox makes any sense is to try to move the whole incident further to the left of the property, right? Like somehow, if the Jeep is there, it means that the whole incident happens on the other side of the Jeep, right? Because it would have to if Karen hits John, right? Which is impossible anyway, based on the circumstance. It's not possible. There's just no way. I mean, if what they're saying is true and Brian Higgins has his Jeep there, then John hits the Jeep. You know, I mean, it's just absurd. The whole thing is so stupid. But it is bizarre that they're adamant about the Jeep, number one, the plow being used in the driveway when there was no snow, and number two, the Jeep being parked at the mailbox, which is impossible because that's actually where Jennifer McCabe puts Karen Reed. And it's impossible because, you know, when Karen and Julie Nagel's brother, they pull up, Karen's right in front of them. There's no Jeep separating the two of them, right? So, I mean, the whole thing is absurd. The Jeep is a whole other problem. And again, this is it again. Like, why are we lying about this? Who cares, right? Who cares unless it is important? That's the problem. Oh, it's terrible. It's so annoying. Yeah, the whole Jeep thing is weird, right? And why cover for Higgins? Well, why would you cover for Higgins? First, I think Higgins and Brian Albert maybe have a complicated relationship, but they've known each other for a very long time. Their careers basically intersect and hug each other, right? I mean, because Higgins has a long history. His family worked for the fire department. He was a lieutenant for the fire department. He was a really big deal that he leaves to go to work for the ATF. They had, I think, worked a little bit together at certain points, but mostly they had been friends and they weren't friends. Like the whole thing, they've known each other for many, many years. And in addition to that, why would you cover for somebody? Because you want them to cover for you, right? I mean, we know Chloe's involved. That gives Brian Albert some culpability, even if he wasn't there, even if he wasn't even around, right? Because it's his dog. So I don't think, and to your point, and I guess this is a good way to end this whole show, right? Like, to me, the number one reason, besides his award-winning personality, of course, that it's impossible for me to completely eliminate Colin as a suspect in the death of John O'Keefe is this part right here about why it is, why would Allie McCabe, Jennifer McCabe, Julie Albert, why would Chris Albert, why would all of these people put themselves in such a horrific situation where they're committing perjury in front of the whole world, right? Why would you do that for Brian Higgins? Right? Why would you do that for Brian Higgins? You wouldn't. You wouldn't do that for Brian Higgins. Would you do that for Brian Albert? Is Jennifer McCabe going to essentially put her whole family in harm's way for Brian Albert? I mean, maybe. It is her brother-in-law. She's known him since kindergarten. Maybe. But if everybody's covering for this kid, then it all makes a lot more sense, right? I mean, then it makes sense. If Jen is covering for this kid, if Allie's covering for this kid, it makes sense why Chris Albert is on ABC, right? Talking with the whole panel. Why is he putting himself in harm's way? It makes sense why Chris Albert is on the select committee, even though he's spent 30 years in restaurants. Now all of a sudden is in local politics. Just happens to be right after Chief Berkowitz, their buddy, retires from the Canton Police Department, right? And the select committee. If you're in local politics, you have your thumb on the heartbeat of the police department and any political movement, right? So if anything's going down, you know about it first. You're the group that makes decisions for the police department about finances, about whatever. So to me, Colin's involved because what makes it impossible to say he's not involved is the behavior of everybody else. It just doesn't make sense that they would all go to this length to just cover for Brian Higgins. And I think that's your whole point, right? Forgiving River. It's like, has to be. Maybe it doesn't have to be, but it certainly makes a lot more sense as soon as you think, okay, if I'm Jennifer McCabe, I have known Julie Albert my entire life. She's one of my very best friends. I love her dearly. Our children, Colin and Allie, grew up together. They're actually the exact same age. I think the two were pregnant at the same time. Then you cover for him. Then you do whatever you have to do to make sure that this kid is protected, right? Then all of the people involved in this story, their behavior makes sense. So it does make sense if Colin's the one who sucker punches John and then he falls back, right? And then they have to get rid of Colin. So the first thing he does impulsively is he calls the Aaron Beatty. She doesn't answer. And so in the meantime, somebody, one of the family members says, well, let's call Allie. Where's your cousin Allie? And she eventually shows up, picks him up. Now, interestingly, remember how there's 2 minutes, I think, approximately missing out of that library video? And everybody assumed that it was because they took Karen Reed's car out because the taillight would have shown that it was intact. But what if the 2 minutes were removed to make sure that Colin and Allie weren't on the video, right? Because it was Michael Proctor who would have been trying to protect this kid from getting into trouble. So it's very possible that that library video that has got time cut out of it may have cut out time for Colin and Allie because his home is very close to that library. It's like, a minute around the corner, I think. You're absolutely right. Brian Albert does not need a reason to fight. That's true. He does not need a reason to fight. You're absolutely right. 100%. You're right. But they had a reason to fight because, see, I think they weren't trying to fight John. I think they were trying to, open his eyes. But I don't think he was receptive to that. And so it would have immediately digressed into a fight. And of course, all these people are primed up for it, wasted as could be. And if one person throws a punch, right? Are these guys just going to sit back and watch that? No, of course, everyone's going to get involved in some way, right? So maybe I missed it, but what haven't the McAlberts been polygraphed? Oh, of course. Nobody's been anything because there's no investigation. Nobody's ever been investigated. That's the thing. And this is a good point, Shane Martinson, 2636. And I've said this so many times, right? If I'm Brian Albert, I would just submit. I would want everybody to know that I had nothing to do with this. I would do whatever I had to do, submit DNA, show you my phone extraction, show you my geofence data, whatever I have to do. But instead, what do these people do? They get rid of their phones. They make up stories about butt dials. They lie about this. They lie about that. Videos completely edited, right? It's just the insanity of this case. That's the problem, right? The problem is when you focus at all on the details of what happened to John O'Keefe, it's impossible to not run into just unimaginable, egregious lying on the part of these people. Everywhere. It's not like one person. It's everyone. It's everything. And there's none of what you're saying. Logical, innocent people behavior doesn't exist anywhere in this case. for example, there's what, five, six contributors of DNA on the sneaker they found, John's sneaker. Is anybody in the house DNA ever compared to this? No. There's how many different contributors of DNA on John's clothing, on the back of his clothing, on all this stuff, right? That they got DNA on. Well, John O'Keefe's DNA is on those things. Great. John O'Keefe's genes has John O'Keefe's DNA on it. Exciting. Well, who are the two other contributors? Is that Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe because they're sitting over him, trying to resuscitate him? Or is that somebody else, right? Who tried to move him at one point? I don't know. We don't know because nobody gave their DNA and nobody asked them to give their DNA because the case was never investigated. That's the problem. All they did to investigate the death of John O'Keefe was plant taillight and try to say that Karen Reed was guilty. That's all they did. Anything else. And Michael Proctor, when asked however long later, would you do anything differently? His completely arrogant asshole and just stupid, just like stupidity response was, maybe I would interview like one other person. What was it? Like one other, oh my God, what did he say? Like one other person with a car or something? What the hell did he say? Oh my God. He makes some ridiculous, like maybe I'd interview one more person than I did, but that's it. Otherwise I would do everything the same. And it's just, it's like they talked to four people and, you know, arrested Karen Reed, right? They didn't even have a search warrant when they took her car. They just took her car, got a search warrant later. It's just these people. And I think, look, if anything, we all, our efforts and our constant like hammering about this case, I think it's certainly made a difference in terms of like, you know, where these people are working or not working anymore. Like Yuri Buchanan, I think, is doing paperwork most of the time now. You know, like Michael Proctor's not a police officer, so that's good. You know, I mean, like we have certainly disrupted the powers that be and the way that they operate because they didn't have a choice, right? We've certainly made a difference there, but this case has never been investigated, and that's a problem. Somebody has to investigate the death of John O'Keefe properly, like a real police officer, like a real agent, like a real law enforcement agency of some kind has to investigate the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, who was not hit by a fucking car. Excuse my language, but if you've ever seen anybody hit by a car, it doesn't take more than about 4 seconds to realize the injuries on this man did not come from a vehicle. Like, seriously, do yourself a favor. Immediately after you leave me, Google, just take 2 seconds. It really is like a 4-second thing. Just put into Google, you know, injuries from a car accident. The images will be blurred out. You have to agree to make them unblurred. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see a bunch of injuries, and absolutely none of them look anything like anything on John O'Keefe's body, like nothing. And then, if you really want to have fun, then you can look at like dog bite injuries, and you can have some fun with that because, you know, you can get pretty close to what it looks like on John's arm. But you don't even have to go that far. Just start with like Googling car accidents and then look at the difference. It's insane. It's absolutely wild. Like he just wasn't hit by a car, right? Period. He really wasn't. I don't either. And I wonder if, you know, no, I meant yes, good. I wonder, I get this don't understand why the FBI is slagging on this. Here's what I'll say. I wonder if, like when I watched the video of the retirement of Berkowitz, Chief Berkowitz, there was like the FBI guys were there. Now, this was years before. It was, it was a different group of FBI guys. It wasn't Josh Levy's group. But my point is that I think if this case was going to be properly investigated by the feds, it would have to be outside of the Boston area. Would have to be somebody coming in who knows nothing about anybody in this area, because they're all just too close. Like, they're so embedded. They've worked together on cases for years. They grew up in the same towns. Even if it wasn't Canton, it was Roxbury, or it was the North Shore, or it was, you know what I mean? Like, there's too much incestuous, and it's too small of a town. Like, Boston is just not that big, right? It's not that big. To be fair, I live in New York City. It's fucking enormous. If you've never been to the two cities, you should. And the first thing you will see when you step foot in New York City is it's absolutely enormous, right? Like, I live in Manhattan proper. This city is really big. And Boston is adorable. I love Boston, but like, they're not comparable places. It's very, very small. And it's a very small community in and around Boston. So my point is, I think it could very well be political. In other words, somebody doesn't want this case investigated. That's too close to it. And so if it's going to be properly investigated, it's going to have to come from somebody who has no investment or personal knowledge or interest in anything that's going on in and around the state of Massachusetts. That's my feeling. I don't think we'll ever get justice otherwise. I really don't. Yeah, right. Exactly. And I love Boston. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's bad, right? They're just not, it's just two different universes. It's, New York City is just enormous. So, unfortunately, I don't know how we're ever going to get justice the way that things are set up right now, but we're going to keep trying. And here's the thing, it's so interesting. I'm trying to stop this. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here's the thing, right? Like, every day when we investigate this case, like, working on the Who Killed John O'Keefe series, there's like more evidence shows up, right? It's like, wait a minute. How did we miss that? How did I not see that the first 1,000 times that I looked at this thing? So just having like your eyes on it and looking at it closely, you see stuff that you didn't see before. So, I think all of us working together, we get a little bit closer and a little bit closer and a little bit closer to figuring out what really happened to this man, and hopefully someday seeing justice. So, but tomorrow, so within the next 24 hours, you guys are going to see the Colin Albert video that I made drop the top 7 reasons why I think Colin Albert was in the house at the time of the crime. So you'll see that. And we are going to very likely, so we're going to be doing Wednesday night. I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to say, I never want to like say, because you don't know between now and Wednesday, like anything could happen. I could end up with a guest. I could end up like something could happen in the Brian Walshe case. There could be something completely unrelated and Karen Reed stuff that shows up. So I don't even want to say for sure what we're going to do on Wednesday. However, if nothing else happens in the world, one of the things that I want to do is finish the testimony of Jennifer McCabe, because there's a lot of really important stuff in there, stuff that is going to help us above and beyond in the story of what happened to John O'Keefe. So put a pin in that and be on the lookout. I need your guys' help. So if anybody has like a creative, edge to you, or you just like, want to do something silly and fun, I am looking for emoji ideas. So if you have emoji ideas or you come up with anything interesting, cool, or fun, or silly, and you want to send them to me, definitely do it. You can comment to me. You can email them to me. And I'm gonna put a post up on the YouTube channel. So don't forget about that. You guys are amazing. I am so honored to even get to do this. It's super fun. Somebody has a question here. I'm late, but I heard on EDB that Brian Walshe allegedly threatened to kill Anna and her friend not long before they got married. I guess she called the police, but the case was dropped or something. So that's interesting. I had not heard that. Maybe that's true. I mean, could be. Has anybody else heard that? That's really interesting. I would love to know if that's true. I guess the thing here, like, I know that from what I understand about Anna, she was always trying to, like, kind of make other people see him in a more positive light. I'm not really sure if that's because of the legal issues that he had or what exactly. It's a little strange and it's a little odd. Interestingly, though, that area where him and Anna met at Wheatley, that area is close to me. Like, I bet you I could find out more about this. Because I'm, 6 degrees of separation, in places like Lenox, Massachusetts, it's like more like 1 degree of separation. So probably like I could make one phone call to a person I know from high school and probably find out the answer to these kinds of questions. So maybe I will do that and we will come back and have answers for you about who Brian Walshe really is. To me, I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I see him as like too completely emasculated to threaten to kill anybody. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I'm happy to admit it if that's the case, but I just don't see it. So, but we got to find out. Let's find out. Let me just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Did I miss anybody? Got new members. Welcome, new members. Welcome. I also wanted just to say, I know this was like forever ago. Can I tell you that I love St. Pete? I almost moved to Tampa because it's like the only other place that I ever saw myself living because secret, the Yankees have spring training there. It's an awesome place for a baseball lover to be. For spring training, there's like the 3 different spring training camps all in that Tampa area. I love St. Pete Beach. It's like the most beautiful place. So I just wanted to say that. Oh my God, you guys are amazing. I think I got to everybody. Okay, everybody, you guys, it's late. We all have to go to sleep. It's like way past my bedtime. We're like on hour 4. Holy crap. If you haven't hit the like button, you must do it now because this is like, we're about to hit 4 hours. Oh my God, I can't believe that. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your early night, morning. And I will absolutely be here on Wednesday for my normal Wednesday Night Live this week. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I hope to see you all very soon. Good night, everybody.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.